and your daughters being the ages that they are right now, I mean, have either of them showed an interest in being an artist, or are they artistic?
Just 2 weeks ago, I actually called Matt and ran up by him. You know, my oldest, she's shown an interest, and you know,
we told her to get fucked,
right?
Like you taught me. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you or express how humbled and honored I am just to be in the presence of such greatness tonight. Throughout all history, there are leaders that create leaders, legends that create legends. Tonight, our legendary guest, my mentor, the mentor of so many, Mr. Brian Brenner's in the house. You do not want to miss this one. Check it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Tattoo Guardians podcast. We appreciate you faithfully turning into us week after week. And tonight we've got such a special guest, someone that's dear to not only my heart, but all of our hearts. Side note, from being dear to all of our hearts, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of introducing you to such a pillar in the industry, the man that brought me in to the tattoo industry, the man that believed in me, the man that gave me a chance, the man that became my mentor and has taught me so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so pleased to announce my good brother, my mentor, our friend, Mr. Brian Brenner's with us tonight. Brian, thanks for showing, brother.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, man.
I almost feel undeserving of that. Was the most wonderful introduction I think I ever got. You know, but well, yeah, hey man, I like it.
Yeah, it's true. I can only say that about one man, and it's you, brother.
Oh goddamn.
You know, for real.
And you know, you said that the one guy that believed in you.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was the case, or
well,
I'm led to believe.
Maybe I should say, okay. What do you mean?
Well, it was hard getting in, you know?
Right? That's what I fucking loved. It put some respect on it. Made me appreciate it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you mean like the first time I asked, or maybe in the second, he didn't say yes?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me the story. Right. My memory is shit, so I need to
Okay, well, I tell people it was almost a 3-year process of me begging on and off.
Okay.
You know, and I'd call the shop. And you basically tell me to get fucked and hang up on me, which is okay, you know. I'd call back, and you're basically like, tell me to get fucked and hang up on me. I gave up for a short amount of time, moved to Phoenix, Arizona. I was doing murals out there on exterior buildings, so local tattoo shops would see my work, call my number, offer me a free apprenticeship. That re-encouraged me that maybe I got a chance. And I would go and meet these dudes in Phoenix. And thank God I had the fortitude to realize I wasn't impressed with them or their portfolio. And thank God I had the fortitude to think to myself, I only want to learn from the best. But these brothers are going to give me a chance. But if I was going to get into this game, there was only one man I wanted to study under, and it was Brian Brenner way back in Dayton, Ohio. But because these guys thought I was cool, it gave me the confidence to fucking try and call you again, right? Okay. And I called you, and you basically told me to get fucked and hung up on me, right? I called you right back. And I think I called you back 3 times. By this point, your blood's boiling because you just said, no, I'm calling you right back. You're pissed, right? And this time before, I was like, wait, before you hang up on me, man, I will be the most moldable, the humble, the best apprentice you've ever hired. Give me the chance to prove you that. And if I'm not that, the absolute best, then fire me. And for whatever reason, there was a pause on the phone. And you were like, all right, mother. This was on a Friday. I was standing underneath the lemon tree. You were like, all right, motherfucker, be on my doorstep Monday morning with $4,000 cash. Click. Right? And I remember being like, I think that was a fucking yes, you know? But I also felt like you were almost bluffing, like, there's no way he's going to move all the way across country and be on the steps of surf in 48 hours, you know?
And you were.
And I were. And this was pre-cell phone days. I didn't get to confirm with the text. And I remember the look of shock on your face when I was fucking standing on your door, and you literally put your poker face on real quick and act like you knew I was coming. But we both knew that it was...
You got a very detailed memory. I don't remember any of that shit. None of it.
And you know, that's
I don't
that's
remember
what's-
any of it.
That's the beautiful thing about it.
Fuck yeah.
Because in that exact moment, it wasn't really shit to Brian, just another person asking for the same shit. You
That's
know?
right.
Yeah, you just trying to fucking jump on the bandwagon, ride the gravy train, fuck
right.
out of here.
That's right.
But it was such a pivotal moment for you that like you can probably smell the lemon tree you were under, you know,
dude.
and reconnect with how your heart was beating at that exact moment that like this was coming to fruition.
And the intimidation, you know, that I felt. Not just doing it, but then actually once I was in his presence, like the intimidation didn't go away.
and you know, it's like our last previous shows, we're talking about like the impact we have.
Yeah.
It's just another fucking day at the shop for Brian, something brand new to you, which is why it's so cool that he can't remember it because he's probably played that role so many times again. And, you know, just the profound part of it and how descript you were of it. It's just fucking awesome. And I respect it because, like, he's putting like, you know, you want some, all right, let's get some fucking skin in the game then, bitch.
Yep.
Like, get here.
Yeah. And as the weeks went on, because he was honest with me, thank God something about my hunger level changed his mind about me, because then he admitted once he decided that, hey, maybe I am all right or worth it, is when he admitted to me that, A, he didn't like me, told me the reasons why he was always turning me down, and that since I was that annoying gnat that wouldn't go away, his original plan was to fucking fire me in a few weeks. But thank God in the amount of that time, somehow I'd won you over. I remember there was nights like you told me I could go home, you know, because I came in and do whatever you wanted to do, mop, scrub tubes, whatever. And there were times, man, where you're like, Clemmer, you've been here all day. I'd done everything you told me I could go home. But you were still working on a back piece or something. Yeah. And I stuck around. And I remember you saying shit to me, like almost being shocked. Like, man, I told you to go home hours ago, but yet you're still here. Most apprentices are looking at the clock, ready to go to the bar. And I was like, man, I've been drunk before. I've partied before. I'm here to tattoo. And the fact that my passion level was so high, I felt like in that moment, stirred up some of your passion, or at least that's what you told me. And so then we just started feeding off one another. And somewhere along those lines, you decided, hey, maybe I am worth building with, which I felt, you know.
I think that that still is probably a thing today, because one of the things that, yeah, of course, we dealt with tattooing during our years of, you know, working with each other, but I think it was like the inspirational stuff, you know. Like one of the things that Matt always says, like, you know, I'd be pissed off about something, you know, whatever, and he'd be like, dude, we haven't lost, we gained. And it could be like a big loss. I'm sure he said that shit to you before, right? For a while I was like, this guy is so full of fucking shit, man, that there is no way that you know what I mean, this guy is so full of shit. Because nobody can be like this. Kind of, yeah, sort of, right? You know, yeah. I mean, Josh, come on, man. I mean, you met him later. You had to be going, really, for real?
Yeah, I was am I about to join a cult? What's happening?
I know, right? I still kind of wonder. There's a little bit of me. I'm like,
right.
This guy all right?
Man.
But he's a wonderful guy, man. I mean, really, really is. Most kids would not have did what you did.
Man.
Plus, too, the thing, Matt, I don't know if you realize how incredibly lucky you were, because I was around at that time as well, and Brian had absolutely exploded under the tattoo scene. I mean, that was like, nobody was doing color like him, literally nobody. And we were going to conventions together all the time, and you couldn't even see our booth of the crowd of people around it to watch, you know, Mark as well, you know, and to watch Brian work. So for him to honestly even consider an apprentice, like, that surprises me, because at that time especially, it was just like, I moved all the way to Indiana just to be even close to a part of any of this, you know what I mean? So same boat as you know. Not an apprentice, but, you know.
Oh,
yeah, and it was obvious I didn't like blend in or fit the mold, or, you know, I was viewed as just some like tree hugging hippie all about love, and they're fucking skating, listening to Slayer, right? You know what I'm saying? Thinking I'm just a pussy, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that, right?
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Hell yeah,
probably.
But he's like a sweet guy. I mean, you know, it's like, sometimes I feel like such a prick when I hang out with Matt, because I'm like, God damn, man, this guy is just fuck him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you want to hate him, kind of, but not because he's a bad guy, but because, especially if you're an asshole, you know, it's like I said earlier, I'm a pretty big asshole, man. Fuck that guy. It's like when they kick that guy's ass in Fight Club just because he's good looking.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? It's just like you're like, I'm gonna fucking take care of this guy, right?
Well, it's good to know that this is a reoccurring theme because I too thought that there was something weird about Matt when I first met him, and it's every single person I know. I mean, hell, even your cousin Joey says that you should get an Oscar for best act for the long.
Well, for the people that say like I'm putting on an act, he's like, well, that motherfucker deserves an Oscar because he kept it. He ain't broke character in 30 years. You know
right.
Yeah, I don't think that it's like an act. I think that you use that, like, one of the things that, like, the, you know, the power of positivity, you know, is if you believe something. I mean, you don't have to believe something because it is. You just believe it because you want it to come into fruition, right?
Right.
And I think that you've taught yourself to do that. And I struggle staying there, you know, because you know, you get so pissed off about whatever it is, you know, probably some dumb shit you shouldn't be mad about, but you have a good way of, like, maybe always focusing on that, because I know that
For sure.
I struggle with it, you know.
But on the flip side, so do you, Brian. You taught me so fucking much, because when Brian Brenner puts his mind to something, look the fuck out. There's no stopping him.
Right. And I don't know if, I know, this is a new podcast for you, Brian, but you've come up multiple times on different episodes, and you might not be aware of this, but you are one of my main influences for business.
Really?
I
mean, I appreciate that, but
you were always doing. You were a risk taker, which I am a very big risk taker, and I really appreciate that. You were always just rock and roll skateboards. You just were like, I'm gonna do this, and when everybody else had to like have all this way, you just fucking did it. You put your head down. You had your own skate team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I know you're fully aware of all this, but I was just the guy that kind of sat back and just kind of watched all this unfold. And so you were the one that kind of showed me, like, you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Just go be a badass at it. You know what I mean? So, I never had a chance, but I just wanted to thank you for that, because, I'm a pretty successful person today, and you are a part of that.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yep, me too.
Thanks for all the kind words.
Impact.
If I'm ever going through a bout of depression, I just need to come down here and sit, and I'm tell you what, man,
Right.
y'all motherfuckers can just, like,
Yeah.
But I think that power of positivity, though, that is a reoccurring theme with Matt. You work it out online, you know that he's like, whether you think he's full of shit or whether you think he's like 100% real. Let's say he was full of shit. It still would work, though, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So either way, you kind of win, right? I mean, it's like, how can you go wrong?
Even if it is a cult,
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, let's like say I'm totally convinced, man, that he's like fucked. You know what I mean? And this and that. So it's like, even if, like, it's kind of what's going on in the world now, where it's like, people are like, you know what, man, I don't know, but they're fucked, and I'm gonna keep digging until I can find enough stuff to cancel this asshole. And it's like, at the end of the day, even if you're right, let's say, even if you are right, it's like, it's still negative energy.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
That you're trying to do, like, trying to always going around and figuring out who you can,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and I appreciate you, brothers, in my life, like, because all of you have had to, at one time or the other, like, stick up for me or explain to others that I'm actually real deal. Hip's got to all the time.
Sure.
People will go up to him and be like, man, what's up with your boy, man? He's, and Hip's got to tell him, like, I know, I get it. Believe it or not, it's fucking real, know.
My three personalities have different opinions. They argue over Matt. One of them is, fuck that little motherfucker. And then this other one's like, well, man, come on, you can't say that, because the guys A, B, and C, and the third one's like, well, no, I kind of agree with both you assholes, but, like, you know what I mean? That's kind of, so, but yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that being a thing.
Yeah, man. It's nuts. And it's beautiful because, you would think most people that bring a guy like me in the game would maybe be someone like me.
Right.
But that's why it's even cooler. Like, the strongest and hardest motherfucker in the game that showed up with the strongest presence somehow gave me a chance, and again taught me so much. And once I grew and we grew together, then I had the honor of like walking and running alongside him, and you know, and so I'll just fucking never not only forget that, but do my best not to take any of it for granted. And he taught me so much. And that was back in the day, you know, because now we live in a culture where every kid gets a trophy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
but
totally.
fucking not when we was coming up.
No.
And it doesn't matter if he had 30 dudes rolling. When it was convention time, he is hand selecting, even if it's only 3 of you.
Sure.
However many's going, it don't matter how long you've been working, how long you've been tattooing, what type of person are you, your attitude, and what's your portfolio. Because when we're going to show up and shell out with the strongest presence, like we're taking over the city, whatever city this show's in, it's our show. We declare it before we get there, and he backs it up with presence. And to knowing how he rolls, and Josh, you can attest to this.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that I eventually later on got to be a part of that team, I mean, was just like the hugest honor, because to roll with this man, you've got to be the best, and you've got to have hunger level on 10, like Goggins shit for tattooers. It was the,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
he's like the David Goggins of tattooers, you
There
know.
go. I
For
remember
real.
being at one of the Nationals conventions, and between Truth and Triumph and New Breed, we won so many awards. Not only did like St. Mark's brother Monty miss his plane because he fucking dropping his awards and shit, they changed the rules. We won so many awards as a unit that they changed the rules the next year where you couldn't enter as many things, like, you know what I mean? So like, I didn't know that we came to fucking win, you know?
Yeah.
Like I remember St. Mark's used to talk about like having that song Bow Down start playing every time they started calling our names and stuff. It was a crazy time. I mean, you were there, Brian, you know, it was
Right.
It was intense. It just,
Those are the
like-
only people that last too. Like if I have, and I've had wonderful tattooers that do the, just the most awesome work you can think of, but inside they felt this big.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much success you achieve, how much your buddies tell you you're the best, or, how many trophies that you win, you got to have that courage, man, that courage to actually go out there and do it. And I think like what you guys are celebrating, a lot of people, they get turned off by it.
That's right.
They get turned off by, I just read a book called Relentless by Tim Grover. It was Michael Jordan's private coach, and then he worked with Kobe after that. And he said, when you're the first to do something, this like really made me go, wow, this is because I get off on this kind of stuff. He's going, when you're the first to do something like Jordan, like think of all the criticism that Jordan's gotten for his behavior, how he talks to his teammates. He's just a hard motherfucker, right? Everybody's, well, he shouldn't do this, and he shouldn't that, and this, and that, and that, and this, right? He shouldn't be doing these things. And Tim Grover's like, when you are the best at what you do, or trying to be the best at what you're doing, whether it is, well, you already are the best or trying to be the best, there's no real right way. You know what I mean? Like, because
You're a
if you're
pioneer of something.
right, when you're the first one to do something,
Man.
you know what I mean? So it's like, you're gonna get a lot of shit, you know what I mean, for that. But that kind of stuff turns me on. You guys are celebrating it, man. The same stuff you guys are celebrating. So many people still hate my guts because of how I roll. You still hate my guts. But these motherfuckers would rather see me dead, man, than
sure.
Man, I love hearing this shit. It's like fairy tales. Like I can't tell you how many times I've just poked and prodded into the past of it, because man, kind of new to the game. I can remember like once I got out of prison, sitting with a fucking rinse and my needle in a bed bug infested apartment. And I'm sure I've told all of you this story before, but it's just so vivid, and seeing like these Truth and Triumph commercials and these fucking dudes all fucking tatted up, fucking driving dope ass old school cars, and just thinking like those guys are cool and wanting to be like that. And I remember there's an article that came in the newspaper that someone did with you, and it was basically like asking prices and like the difference between professional artists and the scratchers, and quotes of like how much you charge for sleeves, or what a proper price would be if you're going to go to an artist and like engage in possibly getting work done from them, just beware signs, buyer bewares. And I remember cutting that out and hanging it up. and just being lost in addiction, man, and then getting clean, and then linking up with Matt. And I had tattooed a client that was also in recovery. And when Matt was opening up aisle 9, I snuck over to Truth and Triumph, and you were tattooing that same client. And I remember telling you, like, my God, like, you're Brian fucking Brenner, the dude that I remember watching on TV and not knowing anything about, that was like so untouchable in the lives that you guys were living. Now you're tattooing right next to a tattoo that I did probably 6 months earlier. And it was a profound moment, man, because, you know, thank God for measuring sticks. So like any chance I get to hear this history, you know, I didn't even know how tight you guys were for the longest time. And finding out that like you, St. Mark, Carlton all came from like the same place, and ran together. And like that the story Josh was just talking about, like Monty dropping all the trophies and like changing the rules, like I had no fucking clue. And it's like, man, what an honor it is to like sit at this table and hear these stories.
Well, yeah, because like dudes like Nico are on a pedestal, but when you talk to Nico, who's he got on a pedestal?
Yeah,
dudes like Brian Brenner.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. I had dinner with him at the last Evergreen, and he was basically telling me like you and St. Mark were checking out his work before he was Nico, and you were basically like, why in the fuck are you not tattooing like you draw? Start tattooing like this. And it changed him, and you know, he is who he is today. So it's cool because like that little bit of asshole, that little bit of a fucking fire starter behind you to kick you into the fucking ring is much needed in this industry, dude, and I appreciate that shit. You know, and it's a beautiful thing to have the asshole and the fucking pussy.
The asshole.
Matt's like, come on, man. The rainbow. The rainbow. Okay.
Man. And you know what? I don't think you know, he's you know, I don't think asshole's the proper term. It's not even like.
Well, no, I just
I know he was being what is that? Deprecating.
Yeah.
But if we want to, you know, maybe like fucking Colonel, whoever's running the fucking army. What's the?
Oh yeah, like a drill sergeant.
No, like.
Talking about General Patton?
General Patton, one of them motherfuckers. And, you know, if you think that guy's an asshole, okay, but he's fucking running the whole army. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's really hard. A lot of times, man, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, you know, you've heard it's a cliche. You pass judgment on people because you don't know what they've been through. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what a person has been through, that is going to alter their whole opinion, like how they address people, how they, you know. So I could meet a person and go, oh, that guy's an asshole and blah, 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 blah. But that dude may have, like, you know, suffered. He may have lost his son that day, got fired from his job, you know what I mean? And all this. I don't know what this guy's going through. My arrogance is what tells me, well, he should address me better than that. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I mean, I have no right to judge anybody. I should always put on a smile and be cool. But, you know, I'm human.
Well, fuck yeah, he is, and that's what's so beautiful, because we're all growing, we're all learning. I've watched this man, like all of us, grow over the past fucking year, and decade, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's beautiful, that we've always remained open to growth and realizing, like, hey, you know, whatever, the ways of being we used to walk in, and if they're not bearing fruit no more, if it's causing harm after we're deciding, you bunch of fucking pussies, get over it, then we eventually like, well, maybe there's a different way, but not to trade in who we are, but is there a stronger way, you know, to bear fruit? I don't know, that ever-evolving journey on growing to be a better mentor, a better boss, a better brother, a better husband, a better father, right? And that's another thing I've seen Brian constantly grow in, as well as myself, as well as you, Hip, as well as you, Josh, which I think is what we make up to be under the umbrella of a tattoo guardian, someone that, you know, we're honored for the pioneers that went before us. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, still walking in the humility to try and grow and be the best versions of ourselves, you know, and having the humility, you know, as strong as this man is, I've also witnessed him walk in the humility to be like, I'll take that one. That one's, you know, that one, hey, yeah, I'll take that one on the chin. Like, my bad. Like, the humility to be like, hey, okay, I see what I couldn't see before. I'm growing too, you know, which is powerful. And maybe that was just fucking conversations we had behind closed doors.
Well, shit, you used to tell me that if someone was slacking on their duties, with the chore list, you would walk in the next morning and he would be doing it.
When he came in, if he picked up a mop or a broom, and sometimes wouldn't say nothing, we're all of a sudden like, fuck. Like, we dropped the ball, but at least he wasn't above, like, taking out the trash or picking up a mop.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
I'm sure seeing him with the broom was a lot like, I'm not mad at you, I'm disappointed in you. It's more powerful to just see him do your job for you,
Yeah. Talk about, again, leading by example in every way, shape, or form. That's why I learned so much from him in a short amount of time, because really I think we rolled together for just 3 years, and it seemed like a lifetime.
Oh, it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, it seemed like it was at least 5 or 6.
It might have been, but I think it was only 3. But man,
could have been. Yeah, totally.
we fucking went through a lot. In a
yeah,
little bit of
totally.
time.
And and I think that, like, everything during the early days of your career, when I talk to big me's about, like, we talk all the time, never about tattoos. It's always about, like, how we're trying to improve ourselves, normally physically. He's into athletics. I'm very into that. And we just finished this, that challenge 75 hard, so and there was a handful of guys and everybody dropped out. We were the last 2. And it was just like, but every day, man, he's like, yo, I just did this and blah, blah, blah. And he's sending me stats and I'm sending him shit. Like, and we started in the middle of the snow, right? And you had to work out outside every day. So the snow was like, butthole deep, and like, these schools closed and all this other shit. I was like, motherfucker, you picked a good time to start this, right? Because he started it. I just jumped on board. And so I'm running outside every day. But Maze and I talk about this very same kind of stuff. And I mean, dude, that's where the real growth is. The tattoo is like an accessory to the goodwill. I kind of think, At one time, you get these guys that are all high and mighty about I hold myself to this high artistic standard and yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. If your foundation isn't strong, and that's kind of where I'm at in my life now, because like I allowed myself to go so far off track with, bad lifestyle, bad diet, drugs, whatever, alcohol, you name it, bad decisions, ego completely out of control. All the trophies that Josh was talking about earlier, all of the magazine coverage, television that you were seeing, all of those things, they were actually making all of my problems worse, just because, I mean, a young man's ego out of control, unchecked, is a dangerous thing.
Man.
Right.
And I think that's, we could have a whole podcast about that. That's like one of the, that's
Ego,
one of the killers.
everybody's greatest obstacle.
Absolutely.
Right.
Especially in, the artists, or, when you're a certain level too, if you're a competitor. If you're a competitor in anything, I don't give a art, sports, music, your arrogance starts kicking in, and then your arrogance takes control, and your arrogance is talking in your ear going, you are the sweetest, bro. You kick so much ass. Bro, they all love you. And it's like,
and then everybody's telling you that too. Everybody's kissing your ass
Absolutely.
and telling you how amazing you are, so it's tough.
and I'm going, yeah, bro, I'm tight.
Right.
Fuck, look at how sweet I am, And I mean, whoa, wow. It's like a roller coaster ride, man.
I hope that I hope to meet more artists like you, and as well as me's as well. I was hanging out with him in Las Vegas, and talk about an inspiration. You know what I mean? He's so in shape, and like he's like, we should run together. We should, and I'm like, anything you want to do, I'm down to do. And I followed you, from your beginning of your physical career as well. Like, when we knew each other back in the day, both of us were just out of shape and whatever. We were like, we're tattoo artists. We got hot wives, whatever.
Yeah,
but
totally.
you and I both fell in love with running, and I get to watch you do all these Ironman things, and it's like that inspires me to keep doing my stuff. And even through my cancer journey, I'm always like, Brian wouldn't fucking stop. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna fucking stop. I'm not gonna take it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, you have cancer, fucking die on the couch. I'm gonna go fucking run that marathon.
Yeah.
So I like seeing artists. I feel like there's a kind of a movement going on where people are seeing artists like you and hopefully me as well. And Hip's been really going for it. And, Matt's trying. He got the Apple Watch.
I did. Take
Oh,
one
yeah,
step.
Apple
some
Watch?
stairs to get.
He's looking at my gut immediately. Like, we ain't seeing results yet.
But Brian knows, like, there's nothing that feels as good as fucking crossing that finish line. And, like,
Yeah.
a runner's high is fucking real. And, like, whether I'm lifting weights or just, every day I wake up and start at zero. As you guys know, I talk about that. And I love seeing your posts, Brian. I love seeing your post about these, new training and everything. Because just as a tattoo artist, we already have that in common. But to be able to talk to you about that as well, it's just fucking awesome, man. I love
That's
it.
all I like talking about, Josh. To be honest with you, at this point, I said earlier, tattooing is an accessory. Used to, tattoo was the meat and potatoes. It was my identity. It was everything about my life. My wife said to me years ago, I really wish that me and the kids came first in your life. She said, but I just know that's never going to happen because I was so focused on what I was focusing on, and which is kind of weird because never say never. Because at this point of my life, I could go deliver pizzas and chill with my kids and my wife and just watch my kids grow up and do their thing. And I think I would be I know I could be completely content with it. Being able to walk away from what we've been talking about, the faux celebrity part of being a tattooer, being able to actually honestly say I don't care about that anymore has been one of the most liberating things in my life. More than anything, because carrying that shit around is hard, because once you get to the number one slot, you got to keep it, right? Got to maintain it. So I walked in the tattoo convention after, a 2-year period going, tattoo of the day. Come on, I got to get it. I can't not get it.
Right.
If I don't get it, then I'm going to leave this motherfucker and, oh man, I'm going to feel, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's an awful. That's stupid. Why the hell? Why do you think that way? Because your ego is just telling you, that's what you need to be doing.
Man. And that's awesome that you were able to channel that that drive into health. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna be addicted just to your behavior, right? So you were able to channel that into running and just being the healthiest version of yourself. So that's fantastic for sure.
Yeah, totally. And that's like, if you don't have that, if you don't have your foundation, because basically your foundation, you know what I mean? This is a great house, but this is the foundation, right? This is the brick and mortar, like if that's not strong, it doesn't matter how awesome that is.
Right. You're right.
And
absolutely.
I was hiding behind something that looked wonderful to the people driving by, but man, my foundation had cracks in it, buddy. And every time it stormed, my anxiety was going, I'm going to get found. It's almost like that imposter syndrome. You guys have heard of that, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I think every tattoo artist has got it. Well, most of them at least.
It's probably just because we were all fucking losers and we fucking know it.
We were all losers in high school, and then we got the cool job.
We know.
Josh, are you guys familiar with, I think it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay.
I've got a friend that I swear that's his biggest problem.
Okay, and
What
I
is that?
forget, but isn't it like the people who are the least qualified fucking got all the confidence in the world think they are?
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's those who are actually the most qualified are the ones that don't think and have imposter syndrome?
Yeah, that's do you know who said that? Charles Bukowski said that the problem with the world is that all the stupid people have all the confidence.
That's it right there.
And that motherfucker could, he could write, that was his thing, his shtick, do you guys know about him, Charles Bukowski, the old drunk writer? Josh, you ever heard of him, right?
Yeah, for sure.
There's a film called Barfly. Mickey Rourke plays him.
Oh, fantastic film.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Yeah, totally. But anyways.
Nice. That was a quick synopsis, but was I accurate on the Dunning-Kruger effect, Josh?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. It boils down to, it's somebody who is too dumb to even realize that they're dumb, and they really truly think they're smarter than somebody else.
Sure.
And then the actual people who are really intelligent usually are kind of the opposite. They're like, no, I'm not good enough. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because I'm sitting next to what I would consider one of the greatest of all time, who even dealt with imposter syndrome, which is what made me think of the Dunning-Kruger.
A true trailblazer,
Yep.
I think for me, when I first went out to New Breed, I was very familiar with St. Mark. He was my favorite tattooer, and then when I discovered Monty, I was like, holy fuck, you're kidding me. What's going on in with this town? And then it was like, then Brian Brenner shows up, and he, like, not to just keep kissing your ass, but you at the time you were just like I said, you had exploded, and I never even knew color could look like that, and you had. You just did your thing, and I was so impressed. Everybody else was doing the stupid tattoos, and Brian was just doing his thing. Yeah. And I go to these conventions with him, and people would just be like, I don't know, I like your Sacred Hearts. I hadn't witnessed anybody get to do what they wanted, And I was like, some fucking day, I'm going to do that shit,
Oh, you mean like being able to do whatever the fuck you want when a person just comes up and says, "Hey,
yeah,
totally.
I always watched you at your booth. You just, you just did what you did Little Brian stuff, and you took Tattoo of the Day. You know what I mean? And I knew you as Little Brian. I don't know if you still go by that or not, but
well, no, I went by that because Big Brian, who was St. Mark's partner, he was like an old school biker, and like and he taught me a lot about life. I love Big Brian. Will always be thankful for Big Brian. He was Big Brian. I mean, he was 6'2", whatever. And look at me, I mean, so that's why I got that name. But no, I'm not so Little Brian anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I still have been called that though by when I meet guys at shows or re-meet them, I should say, that I haven't talked to in 15, 20, 25 years,
Right.
And they always call me by that. My wife, when she heard it for the first time, was like, "Are you kidding me?" You know what I mean? Because she never heard that, right?
Right. I also remember you you would just kind of suddenly be like, "I'm just going to paint like this," and boom, you just fucking did it, And I remember us showing up at a show, and you had these paintings several small paintings that you had done. And I remember Derb Morrison walking by. You had just barely unpacked, and he just pointed to one of your paintings, and he was like, "Save that for me. I'll buy it at the end of the show." And I'm like, God, this guy just sold a painting, and the floor's not even open. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So again, as an entrepreneur at the time, I was just like, you can do that? Like, it just blew my mind, man.
I forget about all this stuff. Right. It's really weird because you guys remind me of this stuff, and it's like I forget. I mean, now that you reminded me, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, and I remember Derb asking about it too. You noticed that it was one of the little ones, right? One of the tiny ones.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Was that before or after pint-sized paintings? Because pint-sized paintings became a thing. It was before that.
Okay. And see, that's what I'm talking about. So like, we talk a lot on this show about impact, and a lot about how we don't know the impact. Like. Yes. You probably didn't realize the impact that you've had on my career. You don't know when you're doing these things that there's somebody, a Matt, a Hip, a Josh, whatever, that could become something. And to us, it's gold. It's like you handed me a bar of gold. We've had a lot of long drives together. Shit, we've driven 13 hours together and just talked about everything. And there's these little nuggets in there of just like, people always say you don't know it's the good old days until they're gone. But like that was the real fucking salad days for me. Those drives with you and Mark and stuff, staying at your house. Man, that was a fucking tattoo apprenticeship over again, So
they were asleep in the back. I remember we were coming home from, I think, Philly, and I was driving Mark's Suburban. You remember that?
Oh,
and you were riding shotgun, and I was in the front, and I was like mini thin the fuck out, man. I had fucking taken like 15 of those bitches, chasing them with Red Bull, chain smoking cigarettes and shit, man. Me and Josh like, man, I'm gonna put out a book. I'm gonna put out this fucking book, man. It's gonna be the shit. And we're just like amped the fuck up, talking, man. I'm like, my eyes are dilated. You probably can't even tell what color my eyes are at. And we're just driving, and we just got done with the show, and we just kicked ass. Probably had like 6 hours sleep the whole weekend. You know what I mean? I think I tried to get Josh drunk, and he ran out of off the floor because I turned into the wolf man at a certain time.
There was a time you were buying shots for everybody, and you turn around and you handed me a shot, and I go, "Oh, I don't drink," and you're like, "Motherfucker, this cost me $5. You better fucking drink it."
$5.
He's like, "You do tonight."
I was just like, "No, this tastes like medicine." Yeah,
totally. It's totally gross. Yeah. Really funny.
Shit.
Yeah, but those were great times. I mean, we were driving, man, and like talking about like, it's really, and I know that you guys have all accomplished a lot. Everybody that's sitting here talking has, we've crossed a few finish lines in our day. Is it me, or when I see the finish line, I'm like, oh, there it is. That's it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I feel like that was all,
man.
And then it's like it doesn't even mean shit. And then it's like, you realize every medal for the Ironmans that I did last year, the stuff I did the year before, the full distance marathon, whatever it was that I was doing, all of those medals are in a drawer at my house, dude.
Yeah,
really.
You know what I mean? Yeah, dude. I don't have framed photos of it. The Ironman photographers had photos from the race. I never got any of them printed even.
You know why? And what he's nailing the point home is it's not about the finish line or the award. It's about the man you had to become along the way to hit that finish line. That's the real reward.
Or the man you're trying to be, maybe.
right,
You know what I mean? Where it's like,
It's the journey.
I rob myself of the journey all the fucking time, dude, because I'm focused on the finish line.
but don't beat yourself up. That's like a common thing.
And then I get there, and then I hear some inspirational shit like that, and I'm like, fuck. You know how many times I've done that. Even today, like prepping for this and being pumped and stoked. And it's like just the whole process to now, and even still now, like now I'm caught up like, oh, I can't wait to see what this edit looks like. This is gonna go fucking hard. And it's like, no, man, you're here right now. Like you just got a compliment from Brian Brenner saying that you crossed a finish line. Why don't you just like sit in that and just chill and be present in the moment and like embrace this? So like, I'm always focused on the finish line. And I have to catch myself. I have to be cognizant to like just chill and enjoy the fucking journey, man. Yep. You know, I'm hearing you talk about like these medals and shit you're winning, and it puts me like whenever I'm out there working out or like going and trying to do a new PR or whatever, and I just want to quit. Like those times, it feels like when I'm not competing or I'm not aware that I'm competing, when it's really like I'm battling myself, are the times where I can get present, where I really want to give up and I'm in my head and I'm battling myself, and it's like, keep going. Feel the pain, feel the burn in your legs, feel your lungs on fire. Just keep going. Be in the moment. Keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've never been more at peace than when I'm on like a super long training session on Sunday. I had a good 25-mile ride, and I went right to a 10K afterwards, which isn't super long, but it takes me, a couple hours, 2.5 hours probably straight, you get to a point to where you're just like, man, it's like all of a sudden, I don't know, have you guys ever been in a car and you're getting on it, right? And you get up 90, 100 miles an hour, 120, 130. There's a speed you reach where everything's going by you real fast like this, then all of a sudden it feels like it's going slow like this, but you look at the speedometer and you're like, dude, I'm going 165 right now. But you get in this weird thing, man. And that totally happens. Like once you push you get there. And there's this piece where it's like there's no arrogance here. There's nothing, just the will to keep going. And it's like, and you're just doing it and you're feeling it. And you feel like, dude, there is no fucking better place I could be in my life. If I died right now, this would be the most wonderful fucking place to die, dude. Like right here. Yeah. I happen to be up in the Woodland Cemetery most of all this, so like during the run part, because I run up in this graveyard. It's super huge. You know what I mean? I think I'm coming to join you guys.
It's hilly too.
Coming to join you, man. Yeah, totally.
Brian, have you ever considered? Is it the Barkley Marathon? Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have. I've watched
the race that eats its young.
There's 2 films on it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen that, Hib, you should watch it. It's the most grueling race. You have to go. You don't even know when you start. You're sleeping in this tent and you wait for this guy to like blow a conch and light a cigarette, and then you have no idea when you're going. You have to go find pages of a book. It's like, I think it's one of the hardest marathons in the world. Like people, sometimes nobody finishes, sometimes one person finishes. You know what I mean? Wow. And
it's some craziness.
To me, I definitely pre-cancer, I was like, that is a goal. But post-cancer, I'm definitely like, I'm gonna try this. If I fucking die doing it, I'll take it.
Wow.
I mean, this is like it's a big deal. You know what I mean?
It's a super big deal. So you're thinking about that, huh?
I am, man. I don't know when, but I'm really thinking about it.
See, man, that's beast shit. Because I mean, that's more beastly than any shit that I'm.
That's some serious David Goggins shit, right?
Yeah,
there,
that's some seriousness. Because like, it's very obvious that a full distance marathon, or even a 50K, or a 70.3 Ironman, or even a 140.6, there's a lot of people that do it. Now, most people don't, but there's a lot of people that do it. What he's talking about, hey, many people do this. Not many people do this.
I'm not even privy to it.
I'll train like crazy, and like I'm fully prepared to not finish it, but just to try. I think, I don't know.
What country hosts it?
It's here.
It's in America.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
I would tell you, if you said, Brian, I really want to do an Ironman, I'd be like, I'll do it with you. If you said, I want to run a 50 or 100K, I'd be like, I'd do it with you. He's like, man, I would do the Barkley. I'm like, man, tell me how it goes.
let's at minimal make sure we meet up and let's do at least an Ironman together, man.
Absolutely.
I would be so
Absolutely.
stoked to do that with you.
Matt, you gonna get in on
And
this?
I've got all of my training notes from like, all of the races that I did.
Right.
And I can say I did my first 70.3 on a carnivore diet, which is like keto on steroids
Yeah.
because you don't eat any vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay. I did a carnivore diet for a year. When I was halfway there and I was fueling myself with sausage links I had in my zipper bag of my road bike. So I'm chewing on these bitches as I'm riding my bike down the road. So, but I trained on that was my fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Did it
then-
make you more
'cause-
aggressive? The carnivore diet? No.
No, it didn't. It
Without carbs, it's hard to not be kind of like lethargic, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive that you were able to do that.
Well, I fucked with fasting during that. Like I did a 4-day fast once, like 4 24-hour periods, but I was still doing all of my training for the race.
Wow.
So it was like, once I got all the sugar out of my body though, like completely, it was like I realized that. I mean, I did like on day 3, I did a 10-mile run, man, and I mean, I was like,
I'm a
good.
huge believer in fasting. I mean, I reversed type 2 diabetes with it. I've repeatedly done very long fasts like you as well. And I know you've researched it. There's monumental research that shows that it's extremely healthy. All religions do it. you know?
Absolutely.
Even if you're just getting like a 16-hour fast in a day, I mean, skipping breakfast basically.
Sure.
It's good for you, man. I think that it's going to be part of my healing for my situation as well. You know what I mean? So I think fasting will always
Absolutely.
be part of my life. Yeah.
I did my second 70.3 doing a vegan diet though. And I did it on
Yeah.
purpose because I wanted to see what my performance difference was going to
Yeah.
be. You know what I
When
mean?
you're saying 70.3, what do you mean?
70.3 miles.
Okay.
That's how many miles that particular race is. And when I did that race, the second time I did that race, I did it all on a vegan diet. My performance was almost identical, to be
I was
honest
going to
with
ask.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
I put on a little bit of weight though when I was on the vegan diet. Not much. I mean, we're talking 2 pounds, but I enjoy vegan food though, so I'm kind of eating that way now. Just because
Beyond
I
Burgers
love-
are pretty good.
I love vegan food. Yeah, totally.
What is your weakness in the Ironman? Mine would be swimming.
I thought it was going to be swimming, but I finished really strong. My weakness is probably my bike.
Yeah.
Because when I got to the bike corral, I realized that almost everybody's already running. You know what I mean? Like I got back and I was like, holy shit, you know what I mean? So I stretched and I was like, oh, well, fuck, I guess I'll just be one of the last ones across the finish line. But running is probably my strongest suit, not as a runner only, but like when I'm dead ass exhausted, I can still, carry an 8.5 minute mile. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So like when I was on the running course, my wife said she was watching and you could see where I was because Ironman has an app and you could watch where you're at the whole race and you can kind of see what's up. And she's like, holy shit, he's not stopping. You know what I mean? Because I just kept going and I just ran through the drink stations because I was trying to make up time because my bike riding was so shitty. But
do you ever
what's that?
do you ever train for cycling on like say Zwift or something like that?
I need to. I have what's called rollers. You ever seen those?
Oh yeah.
You
like
ride
the
your
old traditional
bicycle on
rollers?
them. Yeah. And that's pretty much.
Yeah, that's hard to do. It's always like
Yeah, dude. It's like you have to learn to ride on them the same way you'd have to learn to ride on a skateboard. If you never have been on
Totally.
a skateboard, it's very hard. You're like, whoa. Well, they're kind of the same way. But then you learn to ride your bike on them. You get better. Then you ride with no hands. And you know what I mean? Your skills get better.
right.
I like rollers because I like my bicycle, and I need to get a Zwift thing because it's wonderful for your legs, from what I hear.
That's what I do. I've got it. So I still use my regular road bike, but I've got it on a trainer. You know what I mean? So it's still my bike. It feels like what I'm used to.
I need to do that.
It changes, as the hills come. It changes all that. I can get an FTP test and all that. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'm just doing sprints, like, you know what I mean? I'm going high gear sprints for, a few minutes and then, spin the legs. Yeah, man. And you can pick races too. Like, you can, from what I understand, you can do the Tour de France on that Zwift thing.
You
know
can,
what I mean?
absolutely,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
fucking cool, right?
Damn.
You can do the Tour de France like right here, like looking at
Yeah.
the TV screen on the wall, just right here, and it shows you the whole course.
There's
and
even
everything.
one like there's a climb called the Alpe d'Huez, but and this is called the Alpe de Zwift, where it's just a climb and it takes hours and you're climbing the entire time, and your trainer actually it'll feel just like you're climbing. Like professionals will even say like this is pretty real, so you can actually train. I follow this athlete Lionel Sanders. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh, I'm totally familiar with
I
him.
love Lionel.
Yes.
And
That
he
guy's
trains
rad.
on Zwift and everything. I'm like, if he
Yes.
trains on Zwift, that's enough for me. So get into it, man. We can
Yeah.
ride together that way. For
Have
sure.
you seen he's got his little pain cave, he calls it, that's down in his
Yeah.
basement. It kind of looks like this actually, and he's
Yeah,
got his
it does actually.
He's got
It's
his
that
own- the
indoor pool in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Puts
Yeah,
a mirror
totally.
at the bottom so he can check out his breaststroke. And that's awesome, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he was an addict from what I understand, and he recovered from being an
Yeah.
addict and became an Ironman champion, right? I mean, this guy's like
yeah.
achieved some shit,
yeah.
man,
Wow.
He's achieved some shit. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, it's hip.
Yeah.
You're riding. You're telling me about all these miles that you're riding. We need we need to hook up. Then we need to get his
Yeah, Hip's killing it. He'll do
him
80-mile
in
bike.
there. Yeah, dude.
He's
We'll
pointing
get him
80-mile
on
bike
it. We'll
rides.
get him on
He's
it.
fucking pointing my stomach.
The funny thing is 2 years ago when I started riding, Matt was riding. He was the first person to ride with me, and we
Oh,
did
okay.
it probably 1 to 2 times a week. And then the weather hit, and he fell off, forgot.
Well, it's easy to get out of a habit.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
what and well, the thing is like, I don't know. I kind of got that obsession and compulsion with it, but I know that when me and Matt were out there riding, like it was magical for me to get back on the bike and taking those night rides, and like we were riding from fucking Needmore all the way to Tip City and then turning around.
And it was fall when the fall and the leaves were falling. And
Oh,
you're
it's
riding all
beautiful
night.
that-
We got headlights on, and you hear the leaves crackling and shit. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you just got to get into it. Because I know, Hip, you lost quite a bit of weight cycling, just getting healthy. I lost 70 pounds. I know, Brian, you lost a bunch of weight. So
Yeah.
it's just, we're not getting any younger. It just feels good to know that we're out there fucking trying to kill it every day,
Yeah, Josh, you're what, 40? How old are you?
I'll be 47 in June.
Okay, so he's younger than me then. I was like, I think Josh is a year older than me, but no, he's a year younger than me.
Just 1 year, right? You're 48?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Cool.
48, man. Yeah, we are not getting any younger. And being healthy is like, I kind of think, just like I said, it's your foundation. So if you don't have that, then you don't have anything really.
And I think
Yeah,
I've heard
my
both of
doctors
you.
are constantly. Sorry, I was just saying my doctors are constantly telling me they're like, because I had, I don't know much about it, but I had my stomach removed out of my throat, Brian, and my esophagus is gone and new esophagus, and my doctors are like, you're doing better than any of our other patients because I started out super healthy. Thank God for that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
everybody else is much older and they sit around and they're just
Yes.
like.
Sedentary.
I had a feeding tube. Like for 6 months, I had a feeding tube. I couldn't even eat food, and I still
Really?
fucking exercise. Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's the will to go right there.
Well,
Yeah,
and
as soon as I
again,
could, man. I lived on the couch, and as soon as I fucking could, I'd get on my fucking exercise bike and throw up, and then the next day, I'd be like, maybe I can go 2 more minutes and then throw up. And now,
Jeez.
I'm feeling. That's why I like, even though I've got some new scans coming up, I'm confident because I feel fucking fantastic. I'm 47 years old.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm fucking 20 something.
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of
good.
that foundation he's bringing up, and you just gave a great example of thank God you had that foundation,
Right.
and still have it. And so that's on a physical aspect. But both of you at different times have expressed to me the foundation of your physical health being a direct attribute to a better mental health.
For
Right.
me, majorly.
Lifting
yeah.
depression, things like that. Getting in shape helps with that too. You both
Yeah.
have shared with me before.
Yeah, no matter how much success I had, I battled depression, suicide, to be honest with you. And after just getting healthy, I just felt so good. And just, I don't know, like obviously cancer scared me to the point of like it took that decision away from me. Like I don't think about suicide because I might not make it anyway. So that did take that away. But definitely just I can wake up every day and just appreciate that I'm here. You know what I mean?
Man.
That's
And,
heavy.
yeah, and not to make the show super heavy, but it's just like
Yeah,
if you're
that's the
out there
best show
and
right
listening
there.
to this, I am telling you to start getting healthy if you can. Take that first step. I promise you. Not only is it worth it, I'll help you. You call me, you fucking message us. I will help you do what I know works for me. I'm inspired every day by Brian and Hip. Hip and I have our watches connected together, Brian. So
Yeah.
like we keep each other accountable, and Hip is fucking murdering it. He's killing it. I'm so fucking proud of you, man. I see these, I see you from when I see there's a lot of pictures of me and Hip around looking pretty silly.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a difference, right?
Yeah,
like
man.
it's crazy to see how I've changed. I got shirts still in my fucking closet that are like triple extra large. I can't believe I was ever that big. You know what I mean? Like
Hip's wedding pictures on the beach. We're like, is that a fucking whale?
right? Exactly.
Wow, that's
You
crazy.
know, just like Brian was talking about and I brought up earlier, that is something currently right now that like I keep robbing myself because I'm focused on the finish line. It's like now I'm addicted to like losing weight, but throughout the process I'll be like, fuck it, it'll be all right, have a cheat meal, and that turns into like a cheat week, and then it's like I backslide and that ego kicks in. The
Absolutely.
same one that's like, you're doing great is now like, you piece of shit, you fucking ain't shit.
Sure. Yeah.
And just
It's easy
completely
to fall
robbing
into that
myself for the
trap.
journey, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that. What I try so hard to do is, instead of punishing myself, is if I have a day where I don't fast as much as I said, I just get back on the horse the next day. Like I don't try to make up for it. You know what I mean? Or
Well, because it's a part of your life now.
Yeah,
One of the things that sucks is if you're going, I want to get fit or I want to be awesome at this, and we put these time limits like 120 days. I'm gonna bust it on the bike for 120 days. If you miss it, then it's like you're beating yourself up because that's one of the 120 days gone. But when you've accepted that this is who I am and I'm going to do this every fucking day of my life. And you fall off, it's not a big deal because tomorrow's another day. And you just keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Be,
So,
do,
exactly.
have, man. Yeah.
That's powerful.
My wife and I, we ended up getting a house way up in these hills. And at first I hated it because you can't walk outside without hills. And now we're like, what a blessing. Like we have to walk these hills every day. And man, like my wife will not miss a walk. And it's like, you can see it. She's just like toned up and everything. And she loves walking. And it's just like right out my fucking front yard. You know what I mean? So it's amazing.
I seen that new bike she's got too.
Right?
Yeah.
You've been married for, how long you been married for?
About 20 years now.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm 17. It's really crazy because like that's an accomplishment. Congratulations.
You too.
I think it's something that we're not seeing a lot of,
Yeah.
But
my wife and I were just talking about that. You don't see it. Not to interrupt you, so I apologize.
No,
but I
you're
just wanted to tell you, I remember your son, Oliver,
the oldest,
being just like little.
Yeah.
And that's how I picture him. Obviously, he's a man now.
Yeah, he's a sophomore in college now. And one of my best friends, I'm very lucky. I'm very close with both of my kids, like extremely close. But like, meaning we text 3, 4, 5 times
That's awesome.
a day. You know what I mean? Like, and whenever something good happens to him at college, he's like, "Check this out, Dad." Blah 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 blah. And I'm very thankful that I have that, and not just one, but with both of them.
Right.
And they're really close. Completely different kids.
awesome.
Very close.
Isn't that interesting? The whole nature versus nurture. It's like I've got these 2 children as well, and they're just so different. One is extremely artistic. One is just super into video games. It's like they were raised in the same way. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it totally is. And that's part of your foundation, though, when we were talking about the foundation. Because if the family life's not right, like let's say, Josh, I'm not saying that this is the case, but let's say his wife was a kind of a pain in the ass, or he's a pain in the ass, so they don't really click well, then they're showing animosity toward one another. The children see this. The children have, creates this uncertainty. Right. And that's a big part. If you're not happy at home, or you're not happy with your bed,
they pick up on that for sure.
They do, and it affects us too. It affects us too.
Yeah.
Your kids are, how old are they, Josh?
I've got a 12-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter.
Wow.
About to buy her a car in about a week. So
What are you buying her?
something electric. That's all I know so far.
That's good. You don't know, like a Tesla?
Well, I'd love to buy her a Tesla, but I don't think for her very first car, probably not a Tesla, but
Okay. Chevy
something
Volt.
a little down from that.
Just kidding.
But it's nerve-wracking, you know what I mean? Like she's got her permit now, and she's, I don't quite feel like she's ready, but she's saying if she passes that test, she gets a car. So
Yeah. I was lucky. I didn't have many worries with Ali. He started driving. Nice. He was responsible. He still is. He's probably more responsible than I am. So
right.
I kind of the other one starts driving this year. It's kind of weird, you know.
Yep.
We are old, man. We're getting old as a motherfucker now. You know?
I was at a convention and Jimmy Litwalk was talking to me and he's like, "Yo, us old guys got to stick together." And I was like, "Whoa, motherfucker!" And I was like, oh, he's fucking right. God damn it. You know?
Yeah, totally. He said us old guys got to stick together. That's funny, man. He's still out there fucking getting after it, isn't he?
He is, man. Yeah.
He loves it.
It's kind of interesting. I was just talking to my wife. It's like, even though I'm in the second half of my life, I got to be honest with you. I love it. I feel good. I'm not scared of my future. You know, I want to be an older guy tooling around the house, making shit in the garage. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with
absolutely,
that.
me
Yeah,
too.
you know.
What about the tattoo stuff? And this was one of the things I wanted to ask you when we all were doing this is I wanted to say, Josh, like, what the fuck keeps you so motivated to get it? Because it seems like you're still very involved with the tattoo industry from what I see.
Yeah.
Probably more now than ever, right?
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
honest?
for sure.
Or is that
It is,
safe
yeah.
to say? Because there was a point in my life, and I don't know if I just like am not appreciating it for what it is, and you can help it. I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker just is out getting it, killing it, and I feel really guilty because I'm going, man, like Brian, like you're not appreciating, like, you know what I mean, like this guy's appreciating, he's living it, he's thankful, and I'm like, fuck this shit, man, fuck you, fuck this motherfuckers. You know?
I go through times where I do say fuck this shit, and I think about retiring, and I'm super lucky. I make money with my music and my paintings and stuff.
Yes,
But there's something that just keeps calling me back to it. But I do keep on thinking about reinventing myself. And again, going back to you, you know, you were a big inspiration for that. You were this absolute color master, and then you were like, fuck it, doing black and gray. You know what I mean? And that impresses the shit out of me because sometimes, I've talked about this a few times, I want to just throw everybody off and just do Japanese work. You know what I mean? Just beautiful Japanese tattooing, fuck realism, fuck portraits, all that stuff. But it's like scary as hell for me because that's my clientele and that's what I know. But it'd be so cool, like for maybe my last 5 years of tattooing, to just totally change it up. You know what I mean?
But you built your clientele. You made them want what you do because what you do wasn't there before you did it the
That's
way
right.
you do it.
That's
right?
right.
You know what I mean? So
Sure, yeah.
Man, that's powerful.
if you think about that, you know, it's like it's so weird that you brought that up because I have a back piece drawn for my wife. It's a huge Japanese dragon with like a big, 11 liner.
Yeah.
And not a lot of different line weights. I want it to look as traditional as I can get it, but the kind
Exactly.
that goes on the shoulder blade, covers both of the butt cheeks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to do it. And it's I just think it's ironic, that you're like, dude, I want to do this. I'm like, me too. Like,
Yeah, I'm just super drawn to, like, when I see these traditional tattoos, like you said, not heavy line, like just the same, or heavy line weight, but not different line weights. You know? I see that, and what realism used to give me, now this work is. It's a punch in my face, and I'm just like, I at least need to do like a beautiful sleeve, or I just need to get it out of my system. You know what I mean? Something,
man, I got you. Well, if you think about it, oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I remember, I never know where we were at. I think it might have been Detroit. You and I were sharing a room together with Mark, and you were looking at my frame. I had a new frame of work, and you said to me, man, you could never get better than this and you'll be just fine, but I know you and you're going to just keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
And I always still to this day remember that because you were like, you're at a level where you're going to have an incredible career. In fact, I actually say that when I teach my seminars, when I look at portfolios, if they have that. So this is another little morsel you probably had no idea that you impacted me with, but I always will remember that.
And it's weird because like I look at your work now on social media and holy fuck. Sometimes I'm like, Jesus, I mean, I'm blowing it up going, is that even real? Like, who the fuck is that?
Right.
He edited this photo. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. I mean, I know that he's a very honest guy and you know what I mean? But dude, it's almost unbelievable. Some of the stuff that I see. And so and that takes a certain kind of dedication and a certain kind of like, I mean, I hate the people that's always like, gee, if like I had the insight, or if I could see what Josh's mind sees, which completely sells him short of all the trial and error that it took for him to get to where he's at. You know what I mean?
Man.
Yeah, I've always hated it when people are like, man, if I had half your talents, and I'm like, motherfucker, I don't sleep because of this shit. It's not,
totally.
I didn't wake up tattooing well. I fucking gave up everything. I told my wife when I met her, you mentioned something like this earlier, I told her that she's not first. I actually made that mistake of literally saying tattooing is first. I still fucking hear about it today, 20 years later. She's definitely first now.
Yeah, totally. It's weird how that changes. You know what I mean? So we both had that in common then. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that Mark's wives or his wife, you know,
exactly.
they knew that, you know, that same with him, same with most people that I know that are wonderful, you know, that are dedicated to what it is that they're doing. But then there's a transition when you start focusing more on your foundation. When you start focusing on that foundation, then that's when you start to go, wait a minute, this without her, I don't get to do this on the very best level.
That's
you know
right.
I mean, I have to have her, you know.
Exactly.
Have you
And
familiar
she's
with,
just aware. She's just aware now that if I sit down to write an album or something, that I'm going to just put everything into. She just knows that's what I'm going to do. Running,
Sure.
you know, if I say I'm going to run a marathon, she's like, "Let's go get some new shoes," because she doesn't question it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
totally.
Brian, are you familiar with the book called The Alchemist?
Yes, I am.
Cool. And, you know, we all just recently, you know, been taking turns lending ourselves over to it. But one part in there, out of many great parts, is the guy's lover, Fatima's the character's name, basically says that your true love will never hold you back from pursuing your personal legend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And that's what helps you for the process find the foundation. But when you're with your true love, they will, for however we want to say it, let you go to pursue that. And only then, pursuing your personal legend, your treasure, then are you whole enough for that foundation to be with them forever.
Yeah.
Because the guys that will hold themselves back, or if their lover tries to hold them back and be like, put me first, that could maybe prevent them from pursuing their vision.
Sure.
Then they may never have a whole foundation, always wondering what if.
Well, you got to have that team, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
the
Oh,
team is good. And I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing everybody going, "Oh yeah." So I feel like I'm in
Yeah,
a
you're in the
company
zone.
where this
Yeah.
is a thing. Because what I'm seeing with couples that aren't staying married, or you know, young couples these days, it's like I'm seeing, like, you know, a young artist that I'm working with, and I see their significant other, you know, and it's like, well, she has to do her thing, so I'm trying to be supportive so she can do her thing, and then she does her, so she's got her thing and he's got his thing, and it's like if her thing gets to be a little too much, he can't handle it, and vice versa, and it's just, you know, and I'm just, you know, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, Jesus Christ. And one guy, even when he brags about his wife all the time, he's like, "Oh man, she's this and she's that, man. I mean, she runs her shit. She's such a pimp," and you can tell that he's like, you know what I mean? He's really trying to
overcompensating. Yeah.
Yeah, he's overcompensating, you know, and I'm like, well, man, that's really cool. I mean, you know, your wife's a badass and all, she runs her shit, but I go, man, she ain't got shit on my wife, because my wife runs my shit.
That's a whole lot more. Yeah.
And it was a joke, but I mean, you know, but it was still like, you know, there was a little, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, yeah, yeah, talking shit's a lot of fun, I guess.
Would you say, Brian, that, I mean, you knew Mark well before I did, and obviously he was extraordinarily ahead of his time, still is, really.
Yes.
Was that a big inspiration? Was that kind of an early for you, where you were like, okay, this motherfucker's doing it?
Yes.
Or were you? Yeah.
There was a guy, well, this is the most inspirational thing, and this doesn't have to do with art. Mark would eventually kind of be this kind of a mentor to me. One of the things I remember being in high school, and I remember seeing, there was this death metal band from Dayton called Decay, okay? And this guy Randy Gaines, he's a piercer, okay? And he's still a body piercer. He does it part-time. But anyways, him and his band were flying at Bogart's. I was at some show like Napalm Death, Pestilence, some shit that was going on back in the late 80s, you know. And this guy's flying. I go to a show. I heard this band and I was like, dude, these guys are from Dayton? I'm like, people from Dayton, Ohio can do what like my heroes
Yeah.
on like Headbangers Ball, you know, when I'm watching like, you know, bands from that time period that were playing thrash metal and death metal. And I'm like, holy shit, Dayton, you can be from Dayton and you can actually matter? Wow. And I think back to the first time, I have goosebumps telling you guys this story right now, actually. I remember standing in the crowd and watching these guys that were my age from Dayton, Ohio, not from privileged backgrounds or anything like that, you know, scrounging to buy microwave cheeseburger from the Circle K type shit. You know what I mean? These guys, and they were going and they lived this shit, man. And they were so awesome. So I think about that often, even though I'm pushing 50 years old now, I still think about being 17 and seeing this.
Yeah.
And Mark does know about this band because I took Mark to see them actually. But we weren't really anything yet. We had like we were airbrushing T-shirts at the Salem Mall at the point in time, and that was just a job, you know, kind of a cool job, but you know, it wasn't tattooing yet.
So you airbrushed with Mark back in the day?
Yes, like back at the Salem Mall. That was my first job after I got out of high school, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but then Mark, I was kind of around while he was doing a lot of this. You know, he had accomplished a handful of things before I started to work there, but. You know, holy shit, this guy that was just a kind of a good friend of mine from school, you know, is making these huge moves. And he had this way, and I know you know this about him, Josh, he had this way of making you feel like you could accomplish anything.
Big time.
Mark did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a fucking skill for that. And he still does. When I talk to him now, it's like, it's wonderful because we connected on such a, I feel like a very deep level. You know, he was just a wonderful part of my life. It'll never get any better than it was back then. The imagining.
It's hard.
of this.
Yeah, it's hard for, I know, since you guys didn't get to experience that, like I said, salad days, it's kind of undescribable, that all of this stuff that happened, you know what I mean? It's like, Mark had a way of like, you know, we'd open a shop in Bloomington and someone would smash the windows and I'd be like, fuck, they smashed the windows, and Mark would be like, that's fucking great, they hate us, you know what I mean? He had this way of just fucking firing you up, you know what I mean? And you're like, fuck it, I don't give my shit that my window's broken, I'm still gonna tattoo tomorrow all fucking day, and you know, just taking souls, you know what I mean? Mark was taking souls before Goggins, you know? And
yeah, he loved it, man. He loved it.
yeah, you
when
know,
you guys
Mark
keep
would do this.
Oh,
Mark would do this thing where he would like, he knew how to, like, you know, people were doing back pieces, but Mark was like doing fucking back pieces, like, you know, and you thought you saw a good tattoo until the dude takes his shirt off and you see fucking Mark's tattoo. Remember the wall, the piece with the guy?
Yeah.
This tattoo made people fucking cry.
I remember
You know what I
him
mean?
doing that. I remember him. He did it at West Washington Street when I was apprenticing, kind of half-ass apprenticing there. You know what I mean? I had already tattooed, but like I was the guy's name was Doc. He was a Vietnam vet, and Mark did that big back piece on. He won I think he won best tattooer with that.
Yeah, well, Mark was tattooist of the year at Nationals, and you know what I mean.
Yes.
You know, I remember seeing this tattoo, and it fucked me up. You know what I mean? It physically fucked me up because Mark was doing everything with a 15 Magnum, 17, you know, Magnum, and I didn't even know that was possible. You know what I mean? It was like, it seemed like some folklore. People were like, he only uses a Magnum. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, you know? And just to see this work in person, and like I said, like, it would make people cry. It would make people like, you know, just, I don't know. Like I said, it fucked them up like it fucked me up, you know?
Yeah. Think about the fact that there's a lot of people that don't even know that he invented that, and half the industry that's what they're doing.
It bums me out, honestly. And
you know what I mean?
I know he chose a character on Ink Master to kind of play this. You know, we know Mark's not really like that.
No, yeah, totally.
You know, and Mark will always, to this day, be one of the most influential tattoo artists I think that ever lived. He was doing it so fucking earlier before, even oversized. Like early on, I did a big Moses piece on, I think someone that learned actually in Dayton. God, I can't remember his name. I feel bad, but I remember joking with Mark. I made the stencil, and then I actually blew it up really big, like to fuck around. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it this big, and Mark's like, blow it up a little more. You know what I mean? It's like these oversized tattoos that nobody was even attempting, and it was just fucking like, I'll never experience anything like that again. I felt like a kid in a candy store. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Damn.
What do you guys mean when you're saying salad days?
It's just an old expression of the good old days. It's a punk rock expression.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Like Minor Threat had a Salad Days song. You know what I mean? They was they used all the time.
Yeah, it's the good old days. Like I said, you don't know it when you're living it, and you look back and you're like, man, that was the fucking best shit ever.
Hey, and real quick, to clarify what you guys were just crediting Mark to, like saying how, you know, most of the industry don't even know he was like the guy that invented that shit. Specifically, what were you talking about? Big mags, big oversized pieces?
No outliner, big mags.
Yeah, I will actually get, it's weird to say this, but I will get probably a lot more credit than Mark does, and Mark did it way before me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I've heard, you know, the king of mags or whatever. Nah, Mark did that shit.
I remember Jack Rudy watching him at Motor City. It was like the first or second year I was there, and I remember Jack coming over and leaning over his shoulder. He's like, "What the hell are you doing over here?" Like, you know, and watching it, and they stayed and watched, and then Brian Everett came over, and those two motherfuckers are like, that's like if Ozzy and Robert Plant come up and lean over your shoulder, and to watch you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what's cool, Brian, is that about 3 weeks ago, I tattooed Brian Everett's son.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, like I was just, and I tried so hard to like, because he's a really good tattooer now, and I didn't want to just talk about his dad, you know what I mean? But Brian's definitely a huge influence.
Oh my God, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about your story before on this podcast about you collecting from, you know, Jack Rudy, and how Jack Rudy started tattooing you like on the last day when he's supposed to tattoo you on the first day, and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Totally,
like I fucking love those stories. That's what salad days are, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. So good. Good shit, man.
Hells yeah, dude.
You know, go ahead.
No. Oh no.
I was just gonna say, like, you know, like even like the 45 mags and all that stuff, or even like, you know what Mark did too. Not to turn this just in about Mark, but putting like two people together. You know, remember the brothers and stuff. I actually was at your shops taking pictures of those two brothers that had the back piece that went together.
I remember those guys. Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
And like just innovative. You know, he was going to do the Last Supper on like 7 people. I don't know if it ever came to fruition or not, you know, but just shit like that. Just shit that like I was just constantly basically like, when people are like, why are you, you know, why do you do the things you do? It's because I can just do what I want to do. I might fail and I'll learn a lesson, but that new breed time was part of that. You know what I mean? It was like, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Just do it fucking good.
Yes,
Jeez.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's always been Brian's motto. Still is with your own.
That's why I bring up this. That's why I bring up.
My kids, growing up in my household, like can be rough. I think for you know, my kids are probably. I mean, well, it may be rough for other. I mean, for them, it's just Tuesday.
His household,
you know what I mean?
and his tattoo household, right?
My tattoo household, I'm a little more lenient with. Okay. I'm less of a tyrant, you know, these days.
Yeah,
and. A lot of my guys have been there for a long time, you know, so it's like, you know, they kind of run their business the way they want to run it. It's not the same. This is a different industry we're in these days.
It's
not
it's completely
the same.
changed.
Yeah, totally.
It's changed.
In a lot of ways, it's a lot better. And then in a lot of ways, it makes me want to throw up, you know what I mean? It kind of depends on what it is, you know, that we're talking about, you know, but yeah.
I used to have this shirt it was a Paul Rogers shirt, and it said, "A lot has changed, a lot never will." And I always thought that was pretty true to tattooing, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But, you know, the things I'm talking about when I say you can do what you want, like I remember you were filming a bunch of stuff and you didn't hire a videographer. You went and got a really nice camera and you learned how to be a videographer.
Well, my website guy learned how to do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You started a skateboard company. You know what I mean? It was just like, you know, I've since gone on and, you know, making companies and all that. And I just was always so blown away that like you just weren't just tattooing. You know what I mean? So I knew when you started running, I called it early on. I'm like, oh, he's not just going to fucking run. He's going to fucking run, you know? So.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I want to do now, really, to be honest with you. It's like, I'm hoping that like my plan is for my business to facilitate my career as a, you know, I'm like, well, not really a career. It's not like I want to be a professional, but I would like to spend 20 to 30 hours a week just doing long distance stuff. You know what I mean? Wow. Which is kind of like a job, you know?
If you're up for it, I think it'd be awesome if you documented it. Do like Lionel Sanders and start documenting that journey.
Yeah, I've got a couple of guys that asked me to do it. The problem is, and I know that you'll know what I'm talking about when it comes to, you have all of these new like podcasters and you have like bloggers, vloggers, all these guys, YouTubers, and this and that, and it seems like one of the things I gotta like sift through all the slackers to actually find a guy that's not full of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm like, I'm like, where, you know, a motherfucker be like, well, so this is like what I eat in a day. And it's like, motherfucker, you ain't really a performer. So nobody gives a flying shit what you eat in a day. You know what I mean? Like, fuck off, you know?
Yeah, I was following a guy for a while that was like all about triathlons. And I was watching all these videos of him training and everything. And then I started looking him up and he wasn't really doing shit in triathlons other than talking about it.
That's why I did. So I guess like right now, I think that eventually I would like to have, I don't want to say a voice. I don't even want to have a voice in the triathlon community, but I do like self-improvement. So, but I'm going to probably wait until my portfolio of like what it is that, you know, I've got that I've had the blessing to experience, more races, more people, and this and that. I just don't really know what I would want to say, and I definitely don't want to be phony. One of the things that's super huge in the tattoo world right now, my books are closed, I'm so busy, I'm booked 5 years out, and I'm a 12-year some 12-year-old girl, whatever, it's like, really, this is what you really think people believe the shit? But it's like, if they're going to believe some shit, I want it to at least be truthful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not, I don't want to be full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of hard to do because
fantastic.
I'm full of shit sometimes.
Well, I think whatever you put your mind to, Brian, you're going to kill it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, you've been always a huge inspiration, and I don't know. It's awesome to see you again after all these years. I think the last time we talked, you had kind of dove into like when Mad Men was real big, and you're doing some Mad Men style paintings.
Oh,
You
yeah.
remember that? It's been
I
quite
remember
a few years.
that. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And that's kind of another example of what I mean. Like, you were always just at the cusp of like, hey, this is something I enjoy doing. I might be able to make a little bit of money off of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think reinventing yourself at 50, because you're pushing 50. You're 5 years away.
Yeah.
You're further
Easy.
You're further away. He just, no. But it's very real that, like, holy shit, I am fucking getting way closer to death than I was to
It comes
birth.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, if you look at your life, and your life is this big, if you're 20 years old and you take 2 years out of it, that's a big section, man.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at 50 and you take 2 years out, that's like, it goes like this, and that's getting extremely real. So you start to reevaluate like what it is that you want to be spending your time doing,
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you've really found some peace and some solace with where you're at in your life, and that's awesome.
Sort of. Yeah. It's still working on it. I think all of us, we're always
a
working
work
on
in
it,
progress. But even the fact that you, like you said, like, because I'm the same way. Like, I could do a whole separate podcast with you, and we could just talk about running, and I'd be happy for hours. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like, clearly that's where we're both at. Like, I love tattooing. Don't get me wrong. I don't want my listeners to think that.
Yeah.
But running and cycling is right at this point far outweighs my passion for it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Man, my homie was just hitting me up today, and he forgot that I podcast tonight, and I actually have the text, and I'm like, brother, like, I would much rather be out riding a bike than doing this, but like, this is a commitment I did.
Right.
And so I get, like, I totally get it. And it's weird, Brian, you're talking about like mortality, because here lately, man, it seems like every other day I just wake up and I'm thinking about my mortality, and like, there's going to be a time when I have to tell a eulogy at my mother's funeral, and then it's like, I'm going to die sometime, and this isn't my practice life. And am I doing enough? Am I making an impact, daily on someone's life for the better, hopefully? And I've just been questioning that a lot, man. A lot's been hitting tonight with this, because me and my wife were so we journal every morning. I get up and I journal to myself, and then me and her share a journal, her idea. It's awesome. I appreciate it, because here recently communication's been an issue that keeps coming up, and you were talking about, you and Josh both were talking about your wife's knowing that they come second, and she just it was an off night last night. Al and I had a party, a going away party for a close brother to us. He's going back with his family, the best apprentice ever. And she was telling me that, like, she just feels like they're second, her and the girls. And here you guys are bringing that up, and it's like, I guess I'm supposed to be hearing this. And I try to know that, like, I can learn without doing and going through the experience, so like, hearing where you guys come from and the paths you're at now, and just how much more peace you are, and you keep talking about foundation, and it's like, I can already start to build and create these things now without having to be almost 50 before I start to realize these things. And I just appreciate it, man. And like, the signs are all around me, the omens, the Alchemist tells us the omens, and maybe I'm getting omens and signs right now that focus more on that foundation to get a little bit more freedom, because I don't know what freedom looks like to you. I don't even know what it looks like to me. I guess maybe more discipline in certain areas of life. You know, you focus on the shit at home, and just in turn it falls over into the tattooing. You know, the tattoos get better. Maybe you don't beat yourself up as much because you know you got a wife that cares for you. It's on your team. You got kids to mentor and show how to live right, and not focus on the fucking finish line, man.
Yeah. Well, how old are your daughters?
One's getting ready to be 16 next month, and in August the other one will be 15.
See, they're at this. I mean, I think that's a wonderful age. Like Eli's 15, and Ali is like, I mean, he's 20 or almost 20. But the thing is like Ali is not interested in being a tattooer. He did inform me that he wants 2 full sleeves. He does not have a tattoo yet.
Wow.
So he knows that he wants to sleeve. He's doing it the right way. He's picking, he goes, well, I want to have you do it. I just don't know what I want yet. And so he's thinking about it. Perfect.
Nice.
Way to go about it. He got to work when he lost his job. He got to work at the shop and be around it all the time. And it was wonderful because I got to connect with him and stuff like that. And he got to kind of see me in action too with the customers. And Eli, the younger one, he and I are so close. He will be in the shop. He will be he will be sticking his first tattoo by the end of this year. That's our goal. I don't believe it's because he had some crazy interest in art. I don't believe that it's because he's just had to be, how people like, I wanted a tattoo out the womb, man. That was like my passion. I don't believe that it was that at all. But I do believe that if we had not had the kind of relationship that we had, that he wouldn't even really probably be even considering it. But that foundation, like the fact that like, man, we connect, I come home, he's like, this happened to me today, Dad, and blah, 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 blah. And then it's just in that, I actually, Josh, I liked being a part of that club that we had going at that time more than I ever liked sticking a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
I liked being a part of what they were doing. That positivity, that next level, which is kind of weird because you had to be a tattooer to be in the club.
That's right.
But it was just a weird juggling balance thing where it's like, you know what I mean? Everything just kind of aligned, but it was as much, if not more, to me, to be a part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if that's the case,
it was a powerful club. It was,
Yeah. And if that's the case, and your daughters being the ages that they are right now, I mean, have either of them showed an interest in being an artist, or are they artistic?
Just 2 weeks ago, I actually called Matt and ran up by him. My oldest is interested, and she's got potential. She's drawing.
Absolutely.
I got her an iPad for Christmas. And that how you were talking about the club, man, like I can totally relate with that, dude, because that's what Matt's built with Aisle 9
club. Yeah,
like and it's so much more than just fucking running a tight line, or fucking a smooth shade. Like it's so much more than that, and it spills out to that, and it's applicable in all areas of my life, So I get it, but yeah, she's shown an interest, and
we told her to get fucked,
right.
like you taught me.
That's what I always like to say to 16-year-old girls: get fucked.
Yeah.
There are a couple other choice words on the end of it too, right? Smack her in the back of the head when she leaves the door.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's my daughter, so it's like, I don't know. I've done lots of construction, and I know when you shine in that industry, like the boss is over your fucking ass all the time. You motherfucker, that miter better be tight, and it's like, how do I approach that? Because I mean, ultimately, so they're my stepdaughters, but same thing, they're a daughter, and it's like I really want her to fucking just be the best. I want her to achieve things sooner and better than me. But it's like, are those proper expectations to put on someone? Because she's going to do her own thing and be her own person if she decides to pursue this. And it's like, when do you like let off the gas a little bit and just like let her learn? So I parenting, dude, I thought there was a manual to this shit.
There's no manual, bro.
I thought if you made the child, like you knew something extra that I don't know. Right. And like the more I keep doing this, it's like I think I'm in the same fucking boat.
Yeah.
And if they know that they matter, I don't know. What I've found out, like one of the things that is like probably the most, one of the most important things, like, when I'm trying to reach your kids sometimes can be rough. But if you're always letting them know that they matter more than anything to you, you know what I mean? Man, you matter more than anything. When a person feels that at like a young age, I mean, because they're like little plants, man. You know, they're sprouts. You know, and they're going to grow into big trees. You know, and if you don't figure out that you've mattered until you're like close to my age, which I think like in a lot of ways, I mean, I love hearing all this stuff, but for so many years of my life, I didn't feel like I really genuinely mattered. You know what I mean? Because there's you know, just baggage from the childhood, all of those, you know, kind of issues, you know, that you have because you know, you didn't have a good relationship with one of your parents or maybe an abusive parent or yada, 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 you know, that like, I mean, dude, like at 48 years old, I'm going, holy shit, I got all fucked up when that shit happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like years and years back. So when a young person feels like, dude, like I matter to somebody, there's that one person that they know that they matter to more than anything in the fucking world, man. The rest of it's kind of butter. Because no matter what happens, or if you're fucking going, yo, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like fucking, like, when I try to guide my kids, like they don't want to listen to you. Your dad, you're old as fuck. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know my friends, you know, Dad, you don't know shit. My generation is different. But like backing off that, well, hey, Ollie, listen to this, or Eli, this, and that, you know, it doesn't even have to be that hard, man. It's like simple text. Ollie,
just sent it.
What the hell's up? Yeah, totally. And I text Ollie that often. You know, he was having a rough day one day, and I said, hey, man, I just want you to know that you matter to me more than anything. You matter to me more than anything. And that has like been that's like I said.
That's strong.
After that, it's just like, you know.
Yeah, that has such a huge impact. I mean, so many kids, especially our age, like how we grew up, didn't get stuff like that. And, you know, I'll tell my son all the time, I'm just like, man, I'm just happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here with me. You know, like
absolutely.
On my wife's side, they're not. There's this really rare disease, and they can't have boys. Her sister had like 3 boys. They'll be born without eyes. They'll die, you know, 2 weeks after birth. So when we found out we were having a boy, we were like, oh boy, here we go. And he's a miracle. You know, he's perfectly healthy. But even if he wasn't, you know, even if it wasn't that, I do tell them my kids definitely know that they matter, that they're loved. You know, and I do think. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about some of those daddy issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Daddy's around and he's like super supportive. And, you know, I've been teaching my 17-year-old daughter about finances, and she, you know, she's got her first job and she puts half of her money in the bank, and, you know, she's saving, you know, it's like all these things like, man, everything when I was younger was just all about future Josh. Well, as you've heard me say before, future Josh came hard and everything fucked up. You know what I mean? So she's so much more prepared than I ever was, you know, and I'd like to take some credit for that, for just being there, you know.
Man, that's great, fellas.
Yeah, see, it's really weird because it's, you know, this is such a small world and we're talking about the same shit, you know. Isn't it funny? Because when we were younger, we're thinking, man, I'm my authentic, original self, man. Nobody's like this, you know. Like, nobody's like this shit. Then I heard something really funny. I don't know, within the last couple of weeks. Somebody said, when you're in your 20s, you care what everybody thinks. When you're in your 40s, you don't care what anybody thinks. But when you're in your 60s, you realize nobody give a fuck about you in the first place.
Man,
how funny is that, right? You know?
That's perfect.
I was just like, that's so fucking good, man.
The longer I stay here and the more I learn, the more I realize, like, I don't even know why I communicate, because I don't know anything.
Oh, but that's not, I mean, you know, it's like it's fun to hear like a different, because sometimes I forget what you're passionate about because, you know what I mean, it's like fucking so many years have gone by, and it's like, that's why I wanted to ask Josh, why do you still give a fuck, man, you know, because this shit's fucking, you know. Another cool thing, Rich Roll is this guy I follow, is a triathlete guy. He does Ultraman, and he's got a podcast, but he said, I thought my life was over 38. He was an addict. Thought my life was over. He was an attorney, though, and a successful one. Graduated from Stanford. But I thought my life was over at 38. Trained for Ultraman. Got in the best shape of my life at 42. I didn't start my podcast until I was 45. And I wrote my first novel when I was 46. And I realized my life wasn't supposed to begin until I was 53.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh, yeah, I like that. I like that shit. That's like really powerful, especially because we're not even
There yet. Yeah.
out here, you know.
And I think myself like that since all this cancer stuff. Like I just think like I can't wait to just survive this so I can start this new chapter of my life. And I feel it in my bones.
Absolutely.
I am supposed to be here. I've got a lot to do. I have a lot to give, and I'm, like I said earlier, like I'm not afraid of being older or anything. I'm completely looking forward to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Is that a Hare Krishna painting behind you, Josh?
It is.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I just happened to see it back there. That's like really cool shit. John Joseph, the vocalist of the Cro-Mags. Do you know who he is?
Mm-mm.
Well, the Cro-Mags were a punk rock band back in the 80s, right? And John Joseph is a Iron Man guy. I mean, he does race after race after race after race, but he's like a Hare Krishna guy, vegan, and and all that. The diet, and compassion, is what they,
That's awesome.
if you're a keto guy, it's not, for you, but are you guys doing that? Is that what you're doing? Keto?
Yeah, these boys. So yeah, even though
Since I mountain bike, I gotta take carbs in on the days I'm mountain biking.
I started keto last month or
It's been 2-3 weeks, I'd say 3 going on 4 weeks. Yeah, so about a month. Yeah,
went out
Stick
and
with
got
it and it
an
works.
Apple Watch, and I'm at least closing my rings. And I started by walking, chasing my 2-year-old around,
That's fine.
man.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I've been doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I joke around with you, Matt, but I know you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Keto's smart, man. Keto to me sometimes is almost as powerful as fasting.
Yeah.
As far as weight loss goes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the huge results like most people here go on keto, lose 30 pounds like real quick, and I've been just stuck.
Sometimes people forget about the liquids and they'll keep drinking whatever. So if you're doing something like that, you got to keep an eye on that.
Meaning I need to drink more water. or less.
More.
Well,
Gallon a
meaning
day,
you,
man.
you might be drinking something that's got a lot of caloric intake.
Got you.
Sometimes people just don't realize, like, oh, this glass of orange juice. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Stuff like
Sugar
that.
water.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right on, man. But you guys are the ones that inspired me,
Yeah. Don't there's something called a whoosh effect as well, where like your weight will hang on, and then boom, it just finally goes, okay, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's called the whoosh effect?
Whoosh, the whoosh effect.
Well, that's
Like
a great
down the
name
drain.
for it.
Whoosh.
I hope my belly all of a sudden just goes whoosh. Damn.
It comes off slow though, because we're like old, man.
Man.
So,
Yeah, the older you get, the harder it gets.
Bro.
For me now, it's just a matter of maintaining. Because at first, I didn't know what number to get to. I was 230 pounds. I got down to 156, and I was like, I don't know. And I was wearing size small shirts, and like my waist was 28, like a kid's. And I was like, yeah, I'm a man. Maybe I'll put on a little bit of weight. So I started lifting weights and stuff. So
Sure. What are you, Josh? 5'9"?
I'm 5'9", yeah.
Okay, you're 5'9", and you weigh what? 170, 165?
170, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like about right. I mean I'm like 5'8" and I weigh 165.
Yeah. I feel good about like it's a good weight for me. You know what I mean? Like
There was a
when I
time
was
when you
wearing, like-
both were double that.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh no, I was 220 something at my heaviest.
Man.
220.
Yeah, so not far off. Yeah, I was 230, and I remember when I didn't give a shit, the doctor was like, "Well, you're pre-diabetic," and I just heard, "So I'm not diabetic." Cool.
Yeah,
You know what I
totally.
mean?
Yeah,
You
totally.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
know
then
exactly what
and
you
then
mean,
when it hit
totally.
me, I didn't know you could cure it with diet and exercise, which is still controversial to some people because obviously it could come back. But my A1C was like they called it slow suicide, and I started fasting, and I fell in love with running. Was my first like hardcore love, and so not only did I get it down to a very healthy, my last A1C was 5.1, which is pretty much perfect,
Yeah.
But I just fell in love with that lifestyle, like you said. It's not a diet or anything. It's just
No,
me now.
it's every
You know
day,
what I mean?
man. Yeah,
Fat
totally.
Josh doesn't. I got the date tattooed on my arm of when I was diagnosed, not when I was cured, when I was diagnosed, because that's the day that changed my life.
Absolutely.
So you guys are talking about. I pay for a nutritionist every month, and this is yet to be determined. But you guys got experience with it. He does it. You said like you go and exercise on fast. Like, isn't that burning your muscle?
Probably has, yeah.
A little bit.
But it's like
Not-
we're not doing it every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're just doing it every once in a while. It's not like one exercise fasted is going to burn off what you've worked hard for. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
and a lot of people think that like you always hear like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and your family will tell you eat a sandwich, you know what I mean? But like even a normal in shape person has plenty of fat to live off of. Like you're living off of that fat. That's why we have that. It's extra storage, And I think once you realize that, fasting is not as scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And plus, you don't really get like when you get really hungry, like you're like, oh my God, if I don't eat, I'm gonna die. Like you don't really get hungrier than that. Like it just kind of comes in waves of the same.
Yep.
And after you fast for 24 hours or so, you kind of just feel like
gets
feel a lot of
easier.
energy. So
Yeah.
it gets easier.
It gets
you get a lot of
easier.
energy.
What have you ever used amino acids to like help?
I've used amino acids to help synthesize the vegan diet, because a vegan diet, it's harder to synthesize plant protein than it is to synthesize meat protein.
Mm-hmm.
But or from what I understand, I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, so
Right.
I mean, take this with a grain of salt. But I don't believe that that you need any of that while you're fasting. Josh hit the nail on the head. Your mind will tell you. Your mind's going, "Oh my God, you're starving," and it's like, and you're not starving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but you're so used to hearing that or thinking that way. 3 meals a day. You've been force fed this information, Josh. I don't know about you, but I train first thing in the morning. I never eat or drink anything with calories in it first, ever.
Yeah, training fasted is awesome. Even like doing things like 1 meal a day, if that's more up, I know you're a bigger guy, so like it's, I did 1 meal a day for a while. Like you just fast for 23 hours and then you eat.
Yeah.
So you're gonna
awesome.
wake up tomorrow and do what?
Tomorrow I'll train with weights for 40 minutes, and then I'll go on a hour-long bike ride. So I'll work out for an hour and 40 minutes. But I just get up and I drink water the whole time that I'm doing it.
And when you train fasted, I feel like you can almost feel the weight falling off of you. That's
Absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah, totally.
Where are you riding to tomorrow?
I normally leave my house and I'll ride from my house down to Magic Castle. Do you know where Magic Castle is?
Wilmington Pike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that round trip is like, about 16 miles. Like, so,
We're damn near neighbors now. I live off Dorothy Lane.
oh, do you?
Yeah.
Where at?
But not right, Hillsdale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a little more like,
You're
yeah.
up Dorothy and
yeah, because you're more like West Kettering, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like where you're at. Yeah. Yeah, man. I love training fasted. The only time that I'll take in calories is if I'm doing like a 2 hour to 3, sometimes 4 hour brick of, I'm getting up, I'm cycling, and then I'm running, and then I might spin my legs at the end of it. You know what I mean? Just to work off all the impact, and I'll maybe take in calories that, the last hour.
So then will you do that, then jump in the shower, shoot off to work, and fucking lay some ink?
Yes. Not heavily on a day that I'm training over 2 hours. I'll do a mellow session. But today I worked out for an hour and a half, and then I had 2 medium-sized sessions. So that was, then I had to come here. So it was kind of, this was a busier day.
So
kind of a long day, yeah.
when will you go to bed
Tonight?
normally?
Oh, normally?
Yeah.
10, 11 o'clock. Normally
Okay.
get up at 6:30, 7.
Man, I've been just waking up. Like ET says, like passion's waking me up every morning. And I don't
Is
know
it?
what it. Yeah, I don't know what it is lately.
That's great.
It is.
Cash in on it.
Well, thank you. And I think maybe that's why I'm prying, like kicking around, fucking beating around the bush. Like, should I maybe call and fucking go on that ride with you tomorrow? Which is
up to
totally
you.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't bounce up out of bed that I don't know what y'all's lifestyle is, but man, like I was never an advocate for marijuana, but nowadays, man, ding 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 ding.
Oh
ding.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Buddy. I am so
helped,
down.
It's helped me sleep. It's helped with a lot of the cancer stuff. Like all my friends gave it to me early on, and I kind of just had a ton of it, and finally I started with it, and it's like, oh, this is really helpful for me.
Do you eat it? You puff it? What do you do?
Eat it.
Eat it? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because I puff
I
a
really
vapor pen.
can't smoke anything with my new anatomy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, but yeah, you just don't want to take the risk. I got a Barrett esophagus from all the heartburn from when I was.
See, that's how mine started. Not to scare you. That's how mine started. It was Barrett's. Now, even when you get Barrett's, it's only a 1% chance you're going to get this fucking cancer. So of course, I didn't win the lottery,
Yeah.
But so don't flip out. But yeah, 20 something years of heartburn, turn into Barrett's esophagus, and then boom,
Yeah. So yeah, it was like a Barrett thing. It's a very common thing. Barrett, like a ton of people have it just because some people have heartburn, Most of the time Barrett just goes like undetected. The only reason that they detected mine was because I was in when I had a brain bleed in 2015 and like they just tested me for everything and they just they just scraped my throat.
That's good they found it.
Yeah.
There's I don't know if you remember, there's a band called Planes Mistaken for Stars. It's kind of a hardcore band, but anyway, the singer he just found out recently he's got esophageal cancer as well. So
really?
It's rough, man.
Yeah. So yeah, it is, man. I mean, so you had Barrett first, you said?
Yeah.
When did you find that out?
Well, see, okay, so I shouldn't say because I never really knew. I did not get diagnosed with it. I was just been told likely that's the steps.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I was at the healthiest point in my life, and I just noticed I was starting to have a hard time swallowing. It's like food started feeling like it was getting stuck. And at first I thought it was because I was starting to introduce a little bit of bread after not eating any breads for a long time. So I just thought, it's just the breads. And then one day I went to take a Tylenol for a headache, and I couldn't swallow the Tylenol. And I was like, oh shit, this is bad. So I went and got all kinds of tests done. And long story short, when they were putting a camera down my throat for some other tests, they hit a tumor. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So yeah. But luckily I caught it like not early, but like early enough that it had just barely spread into 2 lymph nodes, which is the beginning stages of it spreading elsewhere. So the surgery cut that out and then tested the margins, and they were clean. So I get a scan like every 3 months, and so far things have been good. This last scan, they found some spots in my lungs, but we're hoping that that's because I don't have the typical esophagus. I'll wake up choking on acid sometimes, and they're hoping that that's what that damage is, because it's too small to do biopsies. So I find out on Friday, well, probably Monday. The test is Friday, and then I have to wait for a whole weekend to get a phone call of
wow,
to see if it's, you know what I mean. So I'm in a weird spot right now where they said it could be metastasis, you know what I mean? But I kind of go by how I feel too, you know what I mean? I feel so good, so I'm staying positive. Yep.
Yeah, that's a hard swallowing thing. That is a characteristic of Barrett. I've I've had difficulty swallowing for years, you know what I mean? It's just like, something that is there. I just thought it was because, when you smoke, because I smoked cigarettes, a lot of them, the little things in your throat, the little whatever they're called, that like help move mucus up and down. Well, when you smoke, it kind of freezes all those up, so your throat isn't as slippery, I guess would be the word to use, and so you'd be chewing on something, you swallow it, and then you're trying to swallow it, and then you hack it back up, and it comes back up in your mouth, and then you chew it up a little more, and then swallow it down. Yeah. So I mean, that's from what I understand is a fairly common thing. The body's weird, man. It's just weird.
Yeah, and like one of the reasons I talk about health so much is like, even though I was super healthy when I was diagnosed, I still have the belief that my best fighting chance, like let's say it does go sideways and I do have metastasis, I still think just me being as healthy as possible will at least give me more time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, I mean, and not to mention the fact it'll improve, even if it doesn't give you more time, it will improve if you run like between 5 and 10 miles every day or most days. The quality of the time that you do have will be far better than if you would not be participating in that.
Absolutely. It's really easy. People are just different types of people, and some people they just feel defeated. They cave. Yeah. And I'm the opposite. I'm just like, if I could outrun it, I would. You know what I mean? So I'm just doing everything I can do.
Absolutely.
Fucking awesome. Hell yeah. So good, man.
Yeah, man. I love it.
Oh, I've been just enjoying, like, I feel like almost drunk with gratitude just sitting here with you fellas. For one, just that I'm sitting here with you fellas. But for two, just hearing you guys talk. You brought up several times salad days, right? And you guys, painted us a little picture of your salad days. And the beautiful thing about that is, and I just see, how we pass the baton and inspire one another. The impact Brian's had on so many people's lives. The impact, Josh, you've had. The impact you guys have right now. The impact you're going to have tomorrow. The impact Hip and I have. And how it's almost like a cycle, even if it's generations, because you guys talked about that club, right?
Yeah, totally.
And you shared about things that like you guys were crediting Mark for. Now I didn't know Mark like I knew you, right?
Yeah, totally.
But you recreated that club for us.
Yeah.
You know, we have our there's so many artists that came up, you know, earlier when he was talking like he's on the phone with Big Meese. For all our listeners, when I announced this is the man that brought me into the tattoo industry, he's also the man that brought Big Meese into the game. He's also the man that brought Kyle Cotterman into the game. I mean, the list goes on and on. Right. They're not just friends. He was all of our mentors, and he created salad days for all of us. We have our own salad days. We had our own clubs. The club you guys had, but the fact that, you know, he was able to turn around and recreate that time and time and time. Like, we could go over generations that all had salad days that you pioneered and created for us. That, like, you guys will never forget that, nor will we, you know, which is fucking amazing. And, you know, when you're in those moments, you know how he said, like, most times you don't realize the good old days until they're gone. But when you're a part of something special, even if it's for a glimpse, in the moment, you know it. Like,
you know you're there.
You know, like, and even when we were rolling together, you know, and again, in retrospect, you appreciate it even more. But there were moments where it's like, we're fucking a dream team right now. We're doing something really fucking special right now.
Sure.
You know, which was beautiful. And now I've gotten to turn around and recreate the club and the salad days for our people, you know, and it just goes on and on and on.
3 generations right here.
Fucking right here. You know, because there are dudes that come up with us in aisle 9. Their salad days, you know.
Yeah.
But I was shown that love and taught that. And Brian, you're the one that showed it to me and taught that to me, gave that to me. So I was able to turn around, recreate, and give it to others, you know, which is a beautiful thing. And even in this moment, I'm realizing we're a part of something special right now. This one day will be on our list of salad days.
Probably will, yeah, totally.
Well said.
Or absolutely, but yeah, just
Yeah,
he said it
man.
better. What he said.
Yeah.
Ditto. What he said, yeah.
So good. So good, man. And even now, like, you know, I'm a business coach for people in the tattoo industry, right? We have our own coaching program called Tattoo Business Mastery. It's beautiful. I'm real proud of it.
Tell us about it.
The impact that it's having. But what most guys don't realize until I tell them is how much I learned from you. You know, a lot of the things I teach. Now, obviously, you know, you taught it to me. A decade of applying it helped me. Like, it's in my bones.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
To where now I can turn around and literally serve others. And it was funny, even when you were saying like Mark's uncanny ability to make motherfuckers feel like they could accomplish anything, that blew my mind. I'm like, well, man, are you going to credit him? Because that's exactly what you did for me and so many. Now, even when you were coming hard with us, you had the uncanny ability to chop a motherfucker down.
Yeah.
But then you would build him back up. And so when we got built back up, it not only had more respect on it, it was worth more. But you know, you're the one, you had that ability to make someone think they could fucking accomplish any finish line, and which is a reason why a lot of us have.
Well, I think at the end of the day, like, my thing is, and I've said this before, I'm sure you've heard me say it, you know, I was like, if my dumbass can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, come on, dude. You know what I mean? It's like, special skills. I'm short as fuck. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, like, you know.
It's hard.
Christ,
it's fuck. You said courage earlier, which you're right. Yeah. And the other word is fucking heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, probably heart. I learned that from my mom. My mom has the ability to make you feel loved. Like, even if you don't know her and you're in the room with her, like anybody that's been around her, family members, my cousins, whether it be Joey, his brother Rich, Jamie, because like all of my cousins, man, you know, when they think of Aunt B, they all called her, you know. She's like one of the most wonderful people you've ever met in your life. Her heart was enormous, you know what I mean? And I think that was like, that's a real important part, I think, for a boy especially, you know what I mean? To have that connection with their with their mom, but that heart, you know, like having that connection with your mom, man, dude. Or maybe, you know, a grandparent, you know, my grandmother I was really tight with as well. So I had like a double whammy. To be honest with you, I didn't really have a lot of like wonderful male role models, you know. So that's why I think I always look to celebrities and, you know what I mean, and athletes and things of that nature, rock bands, because I'm like, well, none of these dudes that I know, I fucking can't learn shit, you know, but these dudes are dope, you know what I mean? I win, that's that, but you know.
I always say
awesome.
I'm a mama's boy with daddy issues.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think that's because of the generation? It's like that World War II generation and just slightly under them, you know what I mean? There with the man didn't say I love you. And you know,
Oh, yeah, my dad was fucking alcoholic. He's gone. That's why. And well, I had a stepdad that took the place, but it wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
didn't fucking matter. Like, you're just a dude fucking my mom.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that still is applicable. Like, I love this shit, dude. I always look for guidance and like approval of older men.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. It's kind of weird. Like in this everybody gets a trophy world that we live in now, nobody needs any parental approval because they've been artificially convinced that they, you know,
They're enough. They made the cut.
yeah, totally. And it's like, well, believing you're enough is one thing, but I mean, but there's got to be some truth to it. You know what I mean? Or else, you know, it's just
It's just some challenge. Just because you apply doesn't mean like, yeah, you yep, no, fuck that, man.
or it's just window fluff. Then you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm number one because I have a blue ribbon. Like, well, did you win something? Well, I feel like I did. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time in 2021, guys. It's rough. It's rough.
Welcome.
Yeah, man.
You know, you used to want to. I saw a guy. It was funny. There's like one of my friends, and he posted this. He always posts these quotes that he takes from like, you know, like Irma Bombeck or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So he had this one quote, and it said, "Winning doesn't mean coming in first. It means like, you know, being a better version of yourself than you were yesterday." But then Kevin Rotrammel couldn't help himself, you know. So he said, "But actually, if you are first place, then you do win."
Right.
And I thought that, I mean, he couldn't resist the comment.
Yeah.
And I should have known because Kevin he's a competitor.
Yeah.
He's got an alpha male kind of, you know, thing going, you know. I mean, you know, I'm just like, oh, God bless Kevin. I love him. You know.
Yeah, he's never had a problem, you know, snapping back or telling you.
We're telling
what he
you
really-
that you suck. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely good for that. You need friends like that.
Fuck
Yeah, I was about to say we need more of that for sure.
Yes, we need
I,
that.
I don't need someone to come in my room while I'm tattooing and be like, "Looks good." They need to tell me like, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing?"
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, how am I
totally.
going to grow? I'm going to learn. I want to grow. You
It's
know,
not, it's not serving you. I need to see my weak links.
Totally.
Yeah, this is the reason I'm actually joining the master class from Matt because, you know, you think, 30 years experience, I've done all these things. And it's like,
I need to take
I
it.
got lots to learn.
Yeah.
I need to take
know?
this master class because
Yeah.
I would like to see, because when I come here, you guys are telling me, man, you remember what, man, I remember you doing this and saying this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting here going, I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if this is stuff that you learned being at the shop, I mean, because I don't know if my mind's gone, I'm getting older, you know what I mean? I don't know, smoke too much pot, I don't think, you know, something, you know, my mind's not operating the way that that it did at one time, you know, but you seem to have a very vivid imagination when it comes to that. And Josh, because it was the salad days, because we probably have that if you talk to us about that.
Yeah,
period.
I think I remember it so well. I mean, I remember things, little things. My wife and I were driving around the other day, and Queens of the Stone Age came on, and I was like, "Oh, we're about to have Brian on the podcast." He's who introduced me to Queens of the Stone Age, and Guided by Voices as well. I don't know if you remember that.
Okay, yeah, totally, yeah, totally.
Wow.
Music was a very huge part of like,
Yeah.
I always compared artwork to music. You know, I always wanted to be I always said like, you know, like, because people were like, well, so like, what is your goal? I did more of these kind of interview things like back in the day, you know what I mean? Back when Prick was the thing, you know, and all that. They would do the interview. And I was like, well, I kind of always wanted to be like the Fugazi or the Unsane of tattooing. Meaning like, Not so much Fugazi anymore, but I'll definitely say Unsane, because like they weren't like, they never got rich, they never sold a crazy amount of albums. They were very successful with, you know, their target audience, you know what I mean? But they were one of the most unique bands that I believe ever happened in that 90s indie noise rock hardcore, you know, thing. Anybody, whenever their name is brought up, the people who know was like, ooh, yeah, I know those motherfuckers. But your average person would be like, you know, no, I didn't, you know.
Right.
So, you know, you were talking earlier about Decay. Do you remember early 90s, a band that got decent notoriety called Dominus?
No, I don't know that.
Yeah.
name. No.
They, I used to jam, because I played death metal when I first started.
Were they from Xenia?
No, Dominus was from Dayton.
Okay.
Yeah. But we became from Xenia because it was the older brother. Brent Grooms is his name. He lives in Columbus now, but his younger brother, me and him were super tight and learned how to play guitar together. We came up and kind of like tried to carry on the reins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, DK was they played shows with this other band called Foul Stench that was super huge from Dayton too. And I mean, you know, Dayton had a wonderful music scene.
Yeah, Dayton had a huge music scene.
So good. There was another
Ohio in
band
general.
called Brainiac that was like there was a documentary that was just released on Brainiac that was, I mean, they were you know, 120 minutes, you know, back when that was on MTV, when MTV played music and stuff.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and Brainiac, they were the shit. And Timmy Taylor unfortunately died in a car accident, but they were going to be the next band to rule the world, you know. And yeah, a lot of cool shit was happening here in Dayton, you know.
Always has. Yeah.
Courage Crew, yes, totally. Which actually, Ron Fox, who started the Courage Crew with his brother Denny and my good friend JC, he owns what used to be one of the Truth and Triumph locations. It's now called 33 Lions Tattoo. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
And Ron is like one of the most wonderful people that I've ever had the opportunity to be friends with. It's funny because my wife was part of the like a hardcore scene from like the mid 90s. I had already moved. We were already in Indianapolis doing our thing. But she knew of the Courage Crew and was like, you know, and they were in the back, oh, I've heard about those guys, right? And then so she meets Ron like 20 years later as my wife, and he's one of my good friends. She's like, I cannot believe that's the guy I've heard all these stories about because he's the coolest motherfucker you'll ever meet in your life, you know? Yeah, his shop's called 33 Lions, and they're wonderful people. Awesome. Yeah, totally.
I remember when you said, like, I think when you kind of first met your wife, or was going to hang out first, you worked at the Dublin Pub.
Yes.
And when you hopped in her ride and she had a Fugazi cassette tape, you knew. You know?
Well, I knew it wasn't just the Fugazi one, because any girl could have dated a guy that was into Fugazi and kind of got into it. You know what I'm saying? And this and that. But then she followed it up with Rid of Me by PJ Harvey, the Steve Albini record. And I was like, damn, this girl's got some cool fucking shit, right? And then I'm flipping through her tapes, and she's got tapes, right? So this is, which was cool, you know, and they're these little tapes, and they fucking got
in the car with the,
right.
the suitcase.
Oh, and I'm
Ziploc.
flipping through, man. She's got fucking a veil in there and all this shit. Wow. I'm just going, man, this girl is the shit, right? Like, even if like I wouldn't have like already kind of been really attracted to her, I would have been like I'm
Now she's fucking
marrying
real
this
hot.
girl, dude. You know what I
I'm
mean?
gonna put a
Because-
baby in you.
Well, she likes all these. That's not normally my first thought.
Right.
Listen to this guy. But yeah, man, like it was, that shit is really cool. You know, because it's like if you've got a girl, if you meet a girl and she's got really bad taste in music, okay, like I don't know, like she listens to John Mayer or fucking, you know, or
ICP.
fucking ICP, you know, Dave Matthews, some shit like that. It's like they have a permanent booger on their face. You know what I mean? You're just bro, you can't wipe it off. But it's that music, you know? You're like, I can't listen to this shit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if the girl was wonderful enough, you could probably get by bad music taste. But like when a girl's like awesome and she's beautiful and she has awesome music taste, and not the shit they're supposed to like the stuff that only certain people know about, you're like, damn, dude, this is the shit, you know. It's a super big deal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
It's funny.
That's real.
So
Yeah, just the fact that if she knew who Steve Albini was, that would have definitely been a positive for sure.
yeah,
you know?
I don't know if she knew that much about that record.
Sure.
But she had the right record. because that record
Right,
is
right.
amazing, you know. And she was a fan of the record before that, which I didn't even know or listen to. So she actually knew a little more than I did, you know, about PJ Harvey. But yeah.
It's funny about Dayton, Ohio. Greatness has always been birthed out of Dayton, Ohio. Artists, inventors, you know, you name it. Whether those people remained here, but so many people were birthed out of. We know of famous people all over the planet, and when you trace their story back, they're from here. A lot of them.
There is a
you
lot.
know.
What about Foxy Shazam? You guys familiar with them?
No,
You should check them out. They're from Ohio. I think they're from Dayton, and I think they're going to be
a
huge.
band?
Yeah,
Is it a
very.
band? We're gonna look it up.
The singer it's really almost like I don't want to say like a Queen, but they're very similar to Queen. And the singer's got this charisma about him that's just rock star. Yeah, Foxy Shazam.
Foxy Shazam. We're gonna look
like
this
it.
up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're from Ohio.
Yeah.
I've always thought, and you know, I thought maybe I'm biased, but even traveling the world, and you know, we can't compare, but I've always just known, even in the spirit realm, there's something extra special about Dayton, Ohio, this region, and the people birthed out of this place. Well, my bass player at the time was talking to a college professor who was coming through on tour, and he studied like gravitational pulls, laws of attraction, and he was telling this college professor my belief about something extra special around here, right? And I still have never checked to see if this is true. Almost didn't need to, but that guy said, you tell him, your friend, he's right. If you take the 7 wonders of the world and dot them out on a map and then take a ruler to connect them, supposedly they all intersect over Dayton, Ohio. And he was saying there's something to that gravitational pull. And I just believed it. I've never checked it. You know, so you listeners can check it and then write a comment if that's true or just bullshit.
Oh yeah, somebody's going to debunk that shit or try to
or confirm it. You know,
right. Nice.
The way it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think there was like a pretty good like hardcore scene birthed out of Dayton. You know, some of the bands even went on to be pretty big. You know,
Foxy Shazam is from Cincinnati.
close.
But I mean, they're freaking. They're like.
Let's just say Ohio.
Yeah,
you know.
Speaking of Ohio, 2 of my favorite funk bands are from Dayton, Zap and Roger, and fucking Ohio Players.
The Ohio Players, yeah.
And they just had a street name to them in honor of them, which is super dope.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember a long time ago when like swing was making a big thing? There was the Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Yeah,
they're here from Eugene actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know the actor Sam Elliott from like Roadhouse? He lives in Eugene as well.
Sam Elliott, like Tombstone Sam Elliott?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's the shit.
We see him like fairly regularly, like when we're grocery shopping and stuff. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, a bunch of my people, me included. So back when I was on dope, I was in Yellow Springs fucking panhandling or something, and Dave Chappelle seen some of my awesome prison work and was like, nice tattoos, and I dropped my pants and showed him one I did on my leg, and I was like, what about this? And he's like, the fuck? Shout out Dave Chappelle. I'm Riach, biatch.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious, dude.
I think I got a quarter from him to use the phone to get drugs. So yeah, hell yeah. Shout out, Dave. Thank you. Made me hit my bottom quicker.
Full circle.
That's funny shit, man.
Yeah, man.
He's probably made a joke about that. Was probably when he was talking about white people and heroin on his show thing. I'm surprised he didn't bring that shit up because that would have been hilarious to talk about on his show. He's like,
was that one skit? He's like, those balls are smooth as eggs. maybe when you dropped your pants, I don't know.
Yeah. He's like, Ohio is Indian for poor white people. That's hilarious, dude.
Shit, man.
You know, when you don't have shit, you need to create things. You know, It's kind of, you know, no great music or great artwork was made out of comfort. You know, and it's really weird if you look at the way the world is going. You know, the way our country, especially, everybody wants comfort. Everybody wants to be accepted, and they want easy street. You know what I mean? I mean, heaven forbid you call somebody by the wrong pronouns, man. You know what I mean? They flip the fuck out, right? Yeah. But like, however uncomfortable that would make one feel, multiply that times 500,000, and that's the kind of discomfort that it takes to create excellence.
Man, come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that.
Which those fucks never get that.
That's
you know what I
right.
mean? Because it's like, I want it easy. I want my school fucking paid for. I want to, you know, I want to be the winner. Well, you're not the winner. I feel like I'm the winner. Well, and then the administration of whatever it is you're involved with comes in. Okay, now let's pretend this loser's the winner,
Right.
and we all have to follow suit. And it's like, man, where the fuck is excellence going to come from?
I enjoy the contrast. You need the yin with the yang, man. Because like if everything's just fucking peaches and rainbows, like
Yeah,
it loses its novelty. You know, I need the bad days. I need the stress. I need the struggle. I need
Absolutely.
to fucking get my ass kicked. I need to fail in order to like hold gratitude where it's deserved.
And we
Right.
say it all the time, success is a shitty teacher.
Man.
absolutely.
You know?
or you know,
It's
or-
all the fucking problems that show up that cause us to stop and reevaluate.
Absolutely.
Really, you know?
Absolutely. And it's like being discontent with yourself or being discontent with the situation is kind of what makes you strive to create something that maybe, you know, is a little better of an avenue.
Yeah.
And we're at a point in time where it's like, you know, Josh, you were talking about being overweight, and, you know, and we've all experienced that on some level, you know, and this beauty, it comes in all sizes. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of true, but not that size.
Right.
Right.
And not the one you're trying to say is cool, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Right.
because it's like not healthy, and like,
Yeah.
and you know, I mean, look at the like the changes that you've made, Josh. You know, Matt, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now if you didn't feel like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a payoff from this.
Yeah.
It's always
Desperation.
interesting to me. It's always interesting to me how if somebody's super skinny, everybody's all over it. You know what I mean? They're worried about their health. It's like, where were you guys when I was having donuts for dinner?
Yeah,
You know what I
totally.
mean? But when I started losing the weight, my family's like, you're going to become anorexic. It's like, I was already dying and nobody said shit.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Man. Desperation is a gift.
absolutely, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like Josh, when he got his diagnosis, that's the day it changed your life.
Yeah, not the day I was cured. The day I was diagnosed, that's when I fucking put that shit in gear. And it's like, so if I have control, if you're telling me I can reverse it with diet and exercise, I'm fucking first thing in the morning putting my fucking running shoes on and go.
And what that is just like Brian's example of like foundation. Now you become aware of that. You don't have to get to that point to start changing other thing, and it creates a domino effect.
Yeah, and like, not to sound dark, but don't fucking wait until something like what happened to me happens. Don't wait until cancer comes knocking. That life that you feel like you're supposed to live, fucking tomorrow morning, go. You know,
I thought about you often when I was on my runs because I knew what you were going through, you know, and we're close to being the same age, you know.
right?
And so, and I'm also running in a cemetery, and my dude is kind of going through some shit that could easily put him to a place like that, you know. And, you know, and then you start to, that's when all of like I'm not saying that like the goals we had don't mean anything. I'm not trying to go that route, but like I definitely, man, it really made me refocus on what I felt like was important, you know, like watching him go through that handful of other people that I am either friends with or a fan of. There was another Ironman athlete. I mean, this guy's done like a dozen Ironmans, like full distance, right? This guy trains all the time. He got cancer, like some weird stomach cancer. So this shit happens to people of all shapes and sizes. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the guy beat it. I watched him cross the finish line of an Ironman while he was going through chemo. This motherfucker did it, dude. It was insane.
That's crazy.
To
Just
watch
as
it.
somebody that's been through, because I went through it twice. I couldn't imagine.
Right,
Wow.
that motherfucker did it, man.
That's some strength.
Yeah, totally. And he lost all of his hair and stuff, so he had like certain I mean, he looked like he was going through some shit, you know.
Wow, that's impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inspiring, man. Fuck.
Totally. This has been a wonderful experience for me to sit and like kind of hear like everybody's talking about, you know.
Yeah, man, it's been really cool to see you again and like kind of relive some of these memories I've had for sure, you know.
Yeah.
It's been great, man.
Yeah.
They were the best
Hopefully,
ones, you know. There were some,
Hopefully we can get some traveling again and I can actually come and sit at that table with you guys, you know.
absolutely, that'd be fantastic. if you live in Eugene, I got to come out there to see the Vision Quest fucking bridge, bro. I'm running my ass across it, dude. That's like the opening scene of the movie. He's running across this fucking bridge.
Yeah, you said you've been thinking about it. Come and do it. And like I said, Nike started here, so Eugene is very, very conducive for runners.
Yeah.
So they have just trails everywhere.
Well, that's where Steve Prefontaine like made his legend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We just went to where he died at. Actually, he's Prefontaine is everywhere here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It's super inspiring. You know.
That's who my youngest son is doing his. He's doing his book report on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
well, if he wants some, I can send him some pictures of actually literally where the crash site was, everything. I mean, if he wants that, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I think he just turned the project in today.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Yeah, my youngest, he runs cross country, I mean, you know, it's you know, being an athlete, I feel like you know, back to the kids, you know, Eli's only allowed to game and do his things if he goes. You know, I make him go. You know, he's got to run, and this is, you know what I mean. He's got certain things. If you don't do these things, you're not allowed to do these things. You know what I mean. So that's probably why he's 5'9" and 115 pounds. Right? I mean, he's a tiny little guy. Yeah, totally.
Wow. Good shit, man.
You know, I think one of the things, speaking with kids, that I'm proud of is that I like to believe that my kids in the future would be like, you know, my dad just did it. Whatever he said he was going to do, my mom and dad, I would watch them. We're going to put on a tattoo convention, and they did it. Yeah. Sure. I hope they'll take that with them, and when they decide to be a chef or whatever it is, whatever their passion is. Absolutely. You know, that instead of, what's your fallback plan? It's like, motherfucker, McDonald's is my fallback plan because I'm going to fucking make it. You know?
Yeah, totally. So, there is no such thing as that, man. There's fallback plan. You're already putting into the universe that you might not make it.
Burn the ships.
Exactly.
No plan B.
Yep. Hell yeah, man.
What an honor, dude. Thank you for blessing us today.
Yeah,
man.
Brian.
Well, thanks for having me. This was really cool to come and sit and chat. You know, I guess if 2 or 3 people, or, you know, if one person, man, like, is interested in tattooing, or, you know what I mean, and they can watch what you guys are doing, you know. I mean, this is a lot of insight, man. Being able to sit with you guys and being able to hear Josh, you know, I mean, this is some serious shit.
Yeah.
So you 3 do this with a bunch of other. How many episodes are you guys doing?
I think this is number 16.
This is our 16th one. We haven't even launched like right now. I mean, it's not even public yet. You know,
totally.
The goal is 20 to 25 before we drop.
Okay, then what are you gonna put one out like every week? Yeah, this is fucking cool, man.
Man,
I gotta say, man.
I think we're doing something good. I think that we're helping. You know, Matt said it to me early on. Sometimes you just need permission for something, and I'm hoping that we give some insight and some permission to people who maybe have this dream that they're just maybe their parents beat them down to the point of like, you have to do these things to be successful, but they have this dream to do something else. And guys like you, Brian, you know, they just kind of did their shit. You just fucking went out and owned it. You know, it's like you know, who was the guy that said Black Flag singer?
Henry Rollins.
Henry Rollins was like, well, I had 2 choices. I could go in the military or I could go out and be a badass. So I went out and was a badass. I love that, man.
Yeah.
I got a tat of Henry Rollins on my rib, so I mean, I'm like I was a huge fan before he went crazy.
Right.
And he got older and kind of went crazy, and he still thinks it's like the 80s with like politics and shit, you know what I mean? He thinks that like fucking, you know what I mean? Like he's just like 60 some years old, man. So motherfucker, right? But yeah, Rollins is the shit though, man. The shit.
Yeah, he's one of those people. I'm just a fan of. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go do it really fucking well. You know,
totally.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Josh, it was great seeing you and hearing your voice.
Me too, man.
Fucking, you know, and I mean, I feel like it was like 25, 28 years ago, and we're driving fucking down 70, man.
I know, right?
Then he thinned out again.
He said, I'm
Watching
gonna write a
Mark.
book.
Watching Mark smoke a joint with the blanket on his lap.
That motherfucker can smoke weed like nobody. He smoked weed like cigarettes and shit. It never even seemed that high.
Yeah,
Like,
never.
God,
Yeah.
I would huff off that motherfucker and just be done. Man. I'd be like,
Yeah.
sorry, like this. And Mark's still talking, holding his joint like this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he'd hold it, man. There'd be nothing left on it, man. He's like holding it, talking, and laughing his
Wearing a
ass
fur
off.
coat or whatever.
Man, something else, dude. Something else.
yeah.
Man. It's funny shit, dude.
Good.
Well, we'd love to
shit.
have you back, man. We
Yes.
just barely scratched the surface on some of these things. So
That's
Yeah,
right.
sure. Well, I mean,
for
as
all
a,
you listeners out there, definitely comment below, and we'd like to have Brian back for sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having
Yeah.
me, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.